CBS Sports presents the World Series Game 7.
Think of baseball as a painting. Up close, the 2,100 games are the hues and the colors that make any season beautiful. But take a step back, and you see an impressionist image of 1,000 moments worth remembering. Some of them last forever.
Deep left center for Mitchell, and we'll see you tomorrow night.
And now an entire season is one game short of becoming a masterpiece. Welcome back to Minneapolis, Minnesota on a foggy night here in the Twin Cities. This is where a local native by the name of Prince once said, "Party till it's 1999." And you know what? They just might do that. The Atlanta Braves, of course, have other plans as they come back into a packed and a boisterous Metrodome. And if it's decibels you like to count, you're going to see them here. This is the right place. If it's Homer Hankies you want to wave, you're going to see a few of those, too. And there's going to be even a smattering of brave tomahawk choppers. But most importantly, if it's baseball drama you dream about, well, we couldn't have written this script any better for you. And so it's live from the Metrodome. It's Game 7 of the World Series. The Atlanta Braves and the Minnesota Twins here on CBS Sports. And hi again, everybody. Good evening. I'm Pat O'Brien. We've got Tommy Lasorda with us again. You've got a lot of Prince CDs, don't you?
Got a stack of them.
We've got going to have a wild scene inside the Dome, but most of all, after a whole season of baseball, we've got a Game 7 of the World Series, and tonight's winner will walk off with this trophy. Tommy, what does this World Series mean in terms of baseball history?
Well, Pat, it's got to be one of the most historical World Series simply because two teams finishing last, and the following year they're in the World Series. That has never been done in my lifetime nor yours, and it may not be done ever again. Do you realize there are 3 different games that have been decided on the last pitch? It's been a very, very exciting World Series.
Do you manage any differently in a Game 7?
Without question. You got to shoot the works tonight. This is it, the final game. You have to do everything within your power to win this ball game. If you have to use starters in relief, every man has to be available for tonight's game.
We going to turn our attention to tonight's starting pitchers. Minnesota, their hopes hinge on Jack Morris, and this was the scene as he left the Metrodome early this morning after the Twins forced a Game 7, looking very much like a rock star. Morris, of course, won 2 games for Detroit in the 1984 World Series, and this year he started not only the season opener, but also the All-Star Game, ALCS Game 1, World Series Game 1. So I asked him if he could put into words for us just how big tonight's Game 7 is.
The big boy. That's what we all dream about as kids, I guess. And, you know, just like the Super Bowl is the Super Bowl, there's only one game in football, but the 7th game of the World Series is our Super Bowl.
Is this something you get nervous about, or do you get anxious to get started, or what's the emotion here?
Well, I think just like everybody else here, we're ready to play the game. we've been through it enough. I've been through it enough. I've been through many World Series games. I'm just anxious to play.
This could turn the clock back on you. You could become a little kid again on that mound today, huh?
Well, let's hope I pitch a little better than a little kid.
Good luck, Jack. We want to welcome, by the way, those of you who are just joining us for our live coverage of Game 7 of the World Series. We're here talking a little pitching. We've been talking about Jack Morris, and if Jack Morris pitches the openers, John Smoltz specializes in pitching the closers. He beat the Dodgers to put Atlanta into the NLCS, and then he shut out the Pirates in Pittsburgh to put the Braves into this World Series. And Tommy, what about this pitching matchup tonight?
Well, Jack Morris is a veteran, as you said. This guy is a winner. He loves to pitch big ball games. You have to make him get the split finger over. As you will notice, when he gets ahead of batters, he throws that split finger. They swing at a lot of bad pitches in the dirt. If they make him bring the ball up, they got a chance. They got to make him throw his fastball if they want to beat him. This guy's tough.
John Smoltz is being asked, Tommy, to pitch again on 3 days rest. He has had mixed results, and you think it'll hurt him tonight?
No, I don't think it'll hurt him with 3 days rest. This guy has to get all the energy that he has within him. This is the biggest game of his life. He has been the hottest pitcher in the entire major leagues in the second half. He has good stuff. If you get him out in front with 3 or 4 runs early, he is tough to beat. You've got to get to him early.
Tommy, some lineup changes tonight. With the righty Smoltz on the mound, Mike Pagliarulo will start at third base for the Twins. We come back here from Minnesota. We'll hear from Minnesota's man of the year. I'll get this right, Tommy. Kirby Puckett, as our coverage of Game 7 of the 1991 World Series rolls on from the Twin Cities here on CBS. Stay with us.
CBS Sports coverage of Game 7 of the 1991 World Series is...
Just another game on the schedule, huh, guys? Mark Lemke and Lonnie Smith there sitting around thinking about Game 7 of the World Series. And maybe you saw the signs down in Atlanta that said Lemke for president. We know that won't happen because he can't afford the pay cut. And if they wanted to draft Lemke in Atlanta, here in Minneapolis, after last night's game-winning home run, they're crowning Kirby Puckett. This morning, we were the first entry on His Majesty's calendar.
We're bringing all our friends from Indian Hills. Good luck, you know.
All right.
All right.
Look at the neighbors brought you. Oh, what do you do here, Pat? Kirby, rock on. Congrats. Nice catch. Nice home run. We love you, Kirby. They put all these pumpkins down here for you?
All these pumpkins, I don't have to go buy one now.
What about tonight? Can you do it again tonight, or what do you think?
We hope so, Pat. We've been playing well here at home, and they got the win last night. The momentum got to be swinging our way a little bit. Plus, we got Mr. Morris tonight, but then again, they got Mr. Smoltz. So I wish I knew the outcome. If I knew we were going to lose, I wouldn't show up. But unfortunately, in this game, you had to show up to see what the outcome is going to be.
Did you get any sleep?
A little bit. I got a few hours, but like I told you, I'm still tired. So I get my rest after it's all over.
What'd you dream about?
I didn't have time to dream. Just got to close my eyes and open them up again.
Hey, good luck tonight.
Hey, Pat, thanks a lot, man. Appreciate it.
Well, no visiting team has ever won a World Series game in the Metrodome, and Jack Morris has personally won 15 games here this season. We spoke to members of both the Braves and the Twins about their mission tonight and their mood coming into this Game 7.
I would say this is it. Hit Jack Morris against Smoltz, so I figure it's going to be some more high-drama baseball.
The team seems a little less loose than they did last night. Are you guys a little more concentrated, you think? Or?
No, we're still loose. We've been loose all year, but, the whole season, 7-game series, it's come down to this one ball game, so I guess the winner is going to take the trophy.
Team focused, and how do you stay focused on this thing? You've had so many
there's a lot of things going on. I think we faced a lot of adversity coming in, even winning the division championship on through the National League Championship Series with the Pirates. So we're used to it. We're ready for it, and everybody's relaxed. We just know what we got to do out on the field and just maintain our focus on what we got to do to win.
You're an at-bat or two away from being the MVP of this thing.
I haven't really thought about it too much.
Yes, you have.
It's crossed my mind a little bit.
All right. Getting a little nervous or no?
Well, I'm a little nervous, but when the game starts, I don't think I'll be that nervous.
Greg Olson, just before the game, saying goodbye to some family and friends. He's from Edina, Minnesota, signed an autograph there, getting ready for his Game 7. Of course, it is up to the players to get it done tonight. But as Tommy told us, managing a Game 7 is a different experience, and we spoke with the men who will be playing chess with each other across the diamond to see how they got their teams
we had a nice
mentally
little
ready.
short meeting, and we're going to be focused, Pat. We have never had a problem with that, and we know it's a big ball game and all, and I'm sure the adrenaline's flowing, but it's not going to be to the point where it's going to hinder us.
How big are your butterflies?
Big right now. Big. You bet. Nah, it's the most exciting time of our lives, and I guess if you're not a little bit nervous, you'd never enjoy anything.
Just the thought of being in Game 7 of the World Series is something every kid dreams about, and we're just bigger kids right now. That's all that is. Both teams, I'm sure, are going to be ready to play. Talked about being drained and all this and that. And there's no way. Both teams will be fired up to play tonight.
Jack Morris now coming out to the cheers of a crowd, hoping for a World Series victory tonight. Some year he has had. On deck here, Ted Turner, as we continue live from the Metrodome. Live picture there of John Smoltz, who will be given the ball by Bobby Cox tonight for the Atlanta Braves, and he is 2-0 in the postseason. Smoltz going out, getting ready to warm up for his Game 7. You know, this series has been a long time coming for the fans of Atlanta, and in particular for owner Ted Turner, who sat down with our own Tom Lasorda to put this experience into perspective.
Well, after having been last and near the bottom for so long, it's a refreshing change, to say the least.
Ted, if Bobby Cox could come to you right now and say, Ted, I'd like for you to talk to the ball club tonight in this very, very important game, what would you say to them?
Well, I am going to see them tonight right before the game because I'm not going back on the team plane. I'm going to tell them that I'm real proud of them no matter how the game comes out, and that I look forward to seeing them next spring.
You've had such tremendous success, the birth of CNN, the winning of America's Cup, and now in the Fall Classic, battling for the World Championship of Baseball. Where does this fit in your career?
Well, I don't rank things, but it's certainly right up at the top of all the experiences that I've had.
Ted, there's been a lot of talk about how you are going to address the CHOP.
We're going to have the heads of the organization are going to get together and discuss it. It really was something that the fans started doing. It wasn't something that the organization came up with. Both Jane and I quit chopping when we heard about the Indians being offended by it, but I think it's much ado about nothing myself. I think it's unfortunate, but certainly no insulting intentions were made at all. We thought it was kind of honoring but basically it was just cheering for the team. That's all it is.
And there is Ted Turner's counterpart, Twins owner Carl Pohlad, a Minneapolis banker and businessman who bought the franchise from Calvin Griffith back in 1984. The nerves there. We've heard from the players, the managers, even the owner. But you know, if baseball is ultimately a game for kids, and aren't we all kids at heart, then maybe we should turn to the real experts, those who have spent this day talking about Game 7 in backyards and sandlots across this country.
Probably the most dramatic since the '75 World Series last night.
It was exciting. It was exciting. I don't know anything about the '75 series. I didn't ever see it, but it was the most dramatic home runs that I've ever seen.
Yeah, and tonight's game,
I think the Twins are going to
Morris is going to shut him down.
Yeah, I think the Twins are going to win it because Morris is too good of a pitcher.
The real boys of summer, Tommy. What about tonight's game?
Well, it's going to be a great game, and I think with the crowd, the dome, and Jack Morris, as much as I want to see the National League and Atlanta win, I've got to say that they have the edge tonight.
Tom Lasorda for the Twins tonight, then.
Yeah.
We'll be back to meet the starting lineups for tonight's Game 7 when our CBS Sports coverage of the 1991 World Series continues after a word from your local station.
Ladies and gentlemen, once again, good evening and welcome to Game 7 of the 1991 World Series. At this time, we would like to introduce to you the 1991 National League champion, Atlanta Braves. First, the non-starters, the coaches, the trainers, and the equipment men.
Hi, Mom!
And now the manager, number 6, Bobby Cox. Leading off, the designated hitter, number 27, Lonnie Smith. Batting second and playing third base, number 9, Terry Pendleton. Batting third, playing center field, number 5, Juan Gant. Batting fourth in right field, number 23, David Justice. Batting fifth, the first baseman, number 12, Sid Reed. Batting sixth in left field, number 14, Brian Hunter.
Let's go, Brian.
Batting seventh, the catcher, number 10, Greg Olson. Batting eighth, playing at second base, number 20, Mark Lemke. Batting ninth at shortstop, number 2, Rafael Belliard. And in the bullpen, the starting pitcher for Atlanta, number 29, John Schmaltz. And now, ladies and gentlemen, your 1991 American League champion, Minnesota Twins. First, the non-starters, coaches, trainers, and equipment men. First, the non-starters, coaches, trainers, and equipment men. And now the manager, number 10, Tom Kelly. Leading off in left field, number 32, Dan Gladden. Batting second, the second baseman, Chuck Knobloch. Batting third in center field, number 34, Kirby Puckett. Batting fourth, the first baseman, number 14, Kent Hrbek. Batting fifth, the designated hitter, number 44, Chili Davis. Batting sixth, the catcher, number 12, Brian Harper. Batting seventh, playing in right field, number 24, Shane Mack. Batting eight at third base, number 13, Mike Pagliarulo. Batting ninth, the shortstop, number 7, Greg Gagne. And in the bullpen, warming up for the Twins, number 47, Jack Morris. Ladies and gentlemen, please stand as the United States Marine Color Guard presents our nation's colors. And now, to honor America, please join 7-year-old Jacqueline Hawkins from New Hope, Minnesota, as she leads us in our national anthem.
Oh, see, can you see him by the dawn's early light? What so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose bright and bright stars through the perilous fight. Oh, the ramparts we watched were so gallantly standing, and the rockets riding round. Still there, oh, say, angels that star spangled midnight wave, oh, the land of the and the hope of the
What were you doing when you were 7 years old? That was terrific. Jack Buck and Tim McCarver are going to be back right around the corner. Stick with us. Game 7 coming up.
Game 7 of the 1991 World Series is brought to you by...
Well, they're getting ready in the Metrodome, and get used to this scene because you'll no doubt, depending on the Twins do, see it all night long. You know, there is no game in baseball more important than Game 7 of the World Series, and no one knows that more than Jack Buck, who has called so many of them, and Tim McCarver, who batted folks 300 as his Cardinal teams won 2 out of 3 Game 7s. I think he even stole a base in one of those games. Gentlemen, have a good game. Let the goosebumps begin, Mr. Buck.
Yeah, thank you, Pat. It's going to be terrific. I just hope that little 7-year-old girl who sang the anthem doesn't do play-by-play.
Oh, wasn't she terrific? I'm telling you.
She was terrific. Folks, we've been wrong. We kept saying this series can't get any better, and it got better and better and better. And now here we are with this game to mark the end of a glorious baseball season.
And Jack, so many vivid memories of the first 6 games that we thought it appropriate to show some of the scattered pictures of the smiles we left behind. Game 1, Jack Morris, a gallant warrior returning home. Hats off. Game 2, when push comes to shove, a bad turn for Atlanta. Game 3, Rick Aguilera, the pinch hitter. Later, Game 3, a force emerges in Mark Lemke, driving home the winner. Game 4, the violent collision of Smith and Harper. To end Game 4, an arm's length and elbow's width, the subtle difference between out and safe. Game 5, it was David Justice putting Atlanta on top. And last night, Puckett's charge ignites the Twins. And Homer Hankies were aptly named last night, Jack.
And we just know that something will happen tonight to take its place with those pictures you just saw. We're close to game time. Let's join Jim Cox.
All right, thank you, Jack. Perfect pitching matchup. Can you believe this? Jack Morris and John Smoltz. Jack Morris with John Smoltz, boyhood idol. Minnesota signed him to pitch big games like this. Atlanta traded for Smoltz to do the same. They'll have a big influence on who wins this game. The warm-ups are over with. The palms are a little sweaty. They're going over their little checkpoints. Few hours, we're going to celebrate, see which team wins. These guys have been thinking a lot of thoughts since they warmed up. Backyard games, boyhood dreams of pitching Game 7. And when it's all over and the champagne is kind of dried off, there's one thing they're playing for, and that's this ring. More than anything else, a ball player wants that. Morris and Smoltz going to have a big influence on who wears it after this one's over.
There are the Twins on the field with Jack Morris taking his warm-ups. He certainly has had more experience than John Smoltz. But the two of them are just excellent hurlers, both at a very, very strong position with regard to the season. They've been pitching very well as of late. And we're ready for this one to start unwinding. Lonnie Smith will be first up.
Feel like we've died and gone to 7.
That's what we've done. Boy, this is exciting for everyone involved. Lonnie Smith with a handshake to the catcher, Brian Harper, former teammate of his. And here he is from Highland Park, suburb of St. Paul, Jack Morris, hometown boy, makes good. First pitch. Ball one. Smith has had 3 hits, and he's had 4 hits, and 3 of them have been home runs. And ball one strike. Smith Pendleton again in the Atlanta first.
I don't think I've ever seen a hitter shake hands with a catcher before the first pitch in any game.
Like a heavyweight fight. That was an unusual occurrence. Two balls and a strike. Jack Morris the pitcher, Brian Harper the catcher. We'll meet the umpires here in a moment. Playable into right field. Shane Mack is there. And that's the way this one starts. Here are tonight's umpires. Don Denkinger will work the plate. Harry Wendelstedt, Drew Coble, Terry Tata, Rick Reed, and Ed Montague. This is the crew chief, Don Denkinger. And he will be scrutinized here this evening. Everything that occurs on this playing field is under quite a microscope. Pendleton has been hot with the bat. He's had 10 hits in the series. He homered here last night, his second home run of the series. Ball one to him.
Terry 6 for his last 7. He won the batting title this year, the first Atlanta Brave to win a National League batting title since Ralph Garr did it in 1974.
Out of play. Ralph Garr, by the way, still with the Braves organization. He was one of my favorites when he was with Atlanta. What a nice fellow he is. 1 ball, 1 strike. Easy for Herbeck. 2 out. $55,000 plus here in the Metrodome. Nice chilly evening, clear night out of doors. And Ron Gant stands between Jack Morris and a perfect first inning. Gant with no home runs in the series. He has 8 hits. He hits everything hard. Skipper of the Atlanta Braves, Bobby Cox. They go home after the game tonight. Will it be a triumphant trip? Tom Kelly is the skipper of the Twins. He won it all in '87. And had to win Game 7 here against the Cardinals to accomplish that. 2 balls and a strike. Pat O'Brien mentioned in the early going, Morris won 2 games against Toronto. He was the winner in Game 1 of this series. Then no decision in Game 4. So he's pitching in Games 1, 4, and 7.
He can't be any more of a #1 guy. He started the first game of the season for the Twins. He pitched in the All-Star game. He pitched the first game of the American League Championship Series. And he pitched the first game of the World Series. He won all 4 of those games.
And he is 6-1 in postseason play during his career. Down in order go the Braves. The Braves went down in order, no score in the first. Each team has won their home games. Minnesota won the first 2 here in the Metrodome. And the series traveled to Georgia, and Atlanta won all 3. Came back here, took a day off, and last night's exciting win went to the Twins. There's John Smoltz, a 14-game winner during the season, but 8-1 after the All-Star game. And he won 2 games against Pittsburgh, including the clincher. No decision in 1 World Series start.
He has won all 3 of his postseason starts. And he won his last 8 starts in the regular season.
First batter, Dan Gladden. I have to announce those names before the PA announcer does, or you wouldn't hear a thing. It's going to be Gladden, Knobloch, and Puckett. They took the roof off this place just about when they introduced Puckett in the pregame. Gladden has had 4 out of 25. That's not so hot. We'll see how John Smoltz gets along. Greg Olson has caught each game of this series. And he was a strong performer down the stretch for the Braves. Pulled an Iron Man act. Is in the hole, 1-2.
2 unhittable sliders for 2 strikes to Dan Gladden. Those are sweeping sliders from Smoltz.
He pitched 7 innings in Game 4. Braves won that game. He didn't get the win. Out of play. 1-2. Had a remarkable sports season up here in the Minneapolis area. Now game 7 of the series to add to the luster. And Smoltz is off on the right foot with a strikeout.
There have been 5 previous series in which the home team won each of the first 6 games. But in only one of those 5 series did the home team win game 7, and that was the last World Series here in Minnesota, won by the Twins against the Cardinals, game 7 in the Metrodome here.
Batting is Chuck Knobloch. A rookie second baseman. Had a couple of runs batted in this series. 7 base hits. Smoltz pops one in there. Smoltz first put on the Atlanta uniform in '88 for a few games. Popped him up for an apparent second out, and who wants it? Somebody better catch it. There's the second out with Justice making the catch. It looked like Lemke was going to go to it, then Gant gave up. There was a momentary pause there, wasn't there, Tim?
Yeah, I like that qualifying word, apparent. I think that's appropriate for a visiting team in this ballpark. We saw Brian Harper lose one last night. Or Brian Hunter, I beg your pardon.
Well, they applauded long and loud last night for this fella, and they're doing it again. Kirby Puckett. A flair for the dramatic. His 11th inning home run was only the 4th extra inning game-ending home run in World Series history. Dusty Rhodes hit one. Eddie Matthews, Carlton Fisk. Strike 2 on Puckett.
Dusty Rhodes against Bob Lemon back in 1954 when the Giants swept the Indians. Eddie Matthews of Milwaukee in the 1957 series off Bob Grimm. And then everybody knows about Carlton Fisk home run against Cincinnati in game 6 of '75.
Back to John. No runners in the first.
No score, top of the second. Tim, you referred to that unhittable slider by John Smoltz. When you're all pumped up in a game like this, you get a little more fastball behind that slider, a little more velocity, a little less break, and I think that's what the Twins hitters saw a lot of in the bottom of that first inning.
And he threw some nasty pitches indeed. Now it's Morris pitching to David Justice. Hit it hard, but right at Puckett, and it plays in front of him for a first base hit of game 7. Had to play deep with Justice up there, and David gets his 7th hit of the series.
Well, we've talked about Kirby Puckett. If he has an Achilles heel, it is playing a little bit too deep. And I think he gets in the habit of doing that here at the Metrodome to try to cut down on gap base hits. But that ball normally is caught, but because Puckett was so deep, it falls in front.
For Justice, it kind of makes up for the ball that just missed being a home run last night. And these Braves did hit into some tough luck. Here's Sid Bream. No runs batted in the series, and ball 1 to him.
Tommy Lasorda referred to Jack Morris and how the hitters of the Atlanta Braves should either try to get ahead of Morris or hit early in the count. By doing that, you don't allow him to throw that split finger fastball. He usually throws it when he's ahead in the count. So if he throws that fastball over for a strike, you want to put that ball in play instead of trying to hit the splitter. He throws that about as hard as he does his fastball.
Ryan Harper gets some help from the dugout. Justice is a threat to run. And that ball is out of play. Justice is not the fastest of runners, but he did steal 8 base during the season. Jimmy Williams, the third base coach.
It was Justice's steal of second base before the Mark Lemke hit in Game 3. That allowed Atlanta to win their first postseason game ever.
Leadoff man is on for Atlanta. 2 balls and a strike. Herbeck holding against the runner.
Combination of Jack Morris and Brian Harper, a good combination on which to run. 15 wild pitches led the American League, and Jack Morris had no pickoffs on the season.
Almost had one there. Justice has shortened his lead. There he goes. And the runner will advance as Knobloch couldn't get it out of the glove immediately and had to go to first base for the first out of the inning.
I think Dave Justice pulling an Edwin Moses. He looked like a high hurdler going over that ball, and I think that upset the rhythm of Chuck Knobloch. Watch Justice hurdle this ground ball, and Knobloch, I think, caught it a little in the heel of the glove, couldn't get it out cleanly, and had to go to first base. That's an Edwin Moses form, isn't it?
Good form by Justice, and good for Atlanta that they started the runner, or with Green running, that would have been a double play. Hunter is up. Ball 1. Bryant 3 out of 17. There's the rookie playing in the 7th game of the World Series. And another rookie at the plate. And that's just foul. Well, that's the way it went all last night for Atlanta, wasn't it, Tim?
Well, he hit that ball off the end of the bat, but Atlanta did hit an awful lot of balls hard last night, either at Twins players or just foul. You mentioned the David Justice foul ball that was really crushed, about a foot foul. And then Terry Pendleton, his second time up, just missed an extra base hit.
Single by Justice, infield out. Hunter and then Olson will have a crack at putting the Braves on top in the second. And some folks have made the trip up from Georgia to root for their club. They haven't had a winner since the Braves moved there. The last Braves team to win was the '57 group. That's Eddie Matthews, Hank Aaron, Joe Edcock, Frank Torrey, Del Crandall, Red Changings, Johnny Logan, Andy Pafko, Bill Bruton. That was a terrific team. And the pitchers were Spawn and Burdette and Buell.
Lou Burdette won 3 games in that series, and it was Lou Burdette who lost the decisive game in 1958 to the Yankees. The Yankees trailed 3-1, and then they came back to win the last 3 games against Milwaukee.
That's when the Braves were in Milwaukee. 2-2 to the batter. High heat for the second strikeout.
Morris just blows this high fastball right by Brian Hunter. See Hunter under it.
That's the second out of the inning, and it's up to Greg Olson. He is trying to do some damage against his hometown team. He's from Edina, Minnesota. He's cooled off lately. He's had 6 hits in the series.
You would think after the World Series that Greg Olson would just drive home and stay, right? Wrong. He will take the plane back with the Braves and drive home. He left his car down in Atlanta, so he won't get here until Thursday or so.
If he wins the series, he'll be able to buy a new car.
That's right.
Popped him up. Second baseman under it. Braves lead 1. No score after an inning and a half.
Now, when there's a lot of tension, no score here in the bottom of the second inning, there's a lot of tension and numbness in the joints, a lot of pressure on the players.
Close-up look at Tommy Glavine.
Well, it's just twisting the joints, trying to get them loose.
And here's Kent Hrbek to start the home second. He is 0 for his last 13 in this series. He's had 3 hits overall. One of them a home run. Ball 1. It'll be Hrbek, and then Chili Davis, and then Brian Harper. And even that young fella knows the significance of this affair. Into short right, and Justice has it. 4 in a row, retired by the Atlanta hurler.
Strange things happen in World Series back in 1924, Game 7, a 12-inning game. And who was in the game? Walter Johnson. He entered the game in relief in the top of the 9th inning, and the Washington Senators won in the bottom of the 12th, 4-3 over the Giants. Tommy Lasorda talking about using everybody. Well, there's a pretty good example. It's been going on for a lot of years.
Including Glavine, whom you saw a moment ago. He could be used for a hitter or two, Bobby Cox told us. Here's Davis. Chili has had 3 hits. 2 of them home runs. He's the designated hitter. Play, strike 2. And happy to see that John Smoltz, as young as he is not letting this situation bother him.
Only 23 years old, he came to the Atlanta Braves for Doyle Alexander from Detroit. Signed with Detroit in 1985, and after 2 lackluster minor league seasons, he has really blossomed for Atlanta.
1-2 to Davis.
Said 23. He's 24 years old. He started this season 23. Part of the young Atlanta Braves pitching staff.
And that's strike 3. That's 5 in a row by Smoltz, 2 on strikes.
We talked about the sweeping effect. Jim Cott commented on the sweeping effect of the breaking ball by Smoltz, and that's a good example right there. Smoltz throws the curveball that goes down to left-handers, the slider that goes away to right-handers.
And the first to Harper is a ball. Brian Harper with a half dozen hits, 6 out of 17. And 1.
Brian Harper with that left leg, you'll notice how he has it cocked. That's what hitters do when they try to stay back and wait for the pitch.
And a good swing, but he's in the hole. 1-2.
By waiting for the pitch, you're not lunging. The 2 elements of successful hitting is to wait and have quick hands.
Yeah, that's what they say. Wait, 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 and then hit the ball in front of the plate. If you can do those 2 things, then you're a hitter. First hit for the Twins. He's a good 2-strike hitter, Tim.
Yeah, he's a contact batter. Struck struck out only 22 times this year. We have seen him time and time again do well with 2 strikes, and that a good pitch by Smoltz, but better hitting by Harper.
Brings up Shane Mack. Mack hit .310 during the season. He's cooled off in the series with only 2 out of 19. And the Atlanta pitcher continues to get ahead of the batters. Strike. Ron Gardenhire is the third base coach. Harper not a fast runner. Boy, Smoltz has made some dandy pitches in the early going.
Wayne Terwilliger over at first base. Wayne Terwilliger played for about 18 years in the major leagues, primarily with the Washington Senators, and his top salary was $11,000 a year. And here you may get the upwards of $130,000 a share for the winning team tonight.
2-2. Yeah, that's what they figure that the full share will be worth for the winners. Not 130, maybe even more, 130,000. Shane Mack, 2-2. This fella hit 18 home runs this season. Driven in 1 run in this series. Up the middle, and Harper will stop. So 2 hits by the hitters, each with a 2-strike count.
One on a slider away to Brian Harper, and now the fastball away. And Shane Mack grounds it hard up the middle. Harper elects to stop at second base because there are 2 outs.
Two on, 2 out. For Mike Pagliarulo. He's had 3 out of 8 against Atlanta.
Last time these 2 guys faced each other, Pagliarulo hit a solo home run in Atlanta. And in that sequence of pitches, John Smoltz had thrown 3 successful curveballs, 2 for strikes. And then Pagliarulo hit the fastball on the inside, so he starts him out tonight with a breaking ball.
And comes inside to make it 1-1, 2 on, 2 out. Brian Harper is at second. He's singled, and Shane Mack at first. That game Tim was referring to, Pagliarulo was 3 for 3 against John Smoltz. No score in the second of Game 7. With a breaking ball, 2-2. 2 on, 2 out, 2 balls, 2 strikes, second inning. That ball is fair. Green to Smoltz, and we have a scoreless 2 innings as the Twins strand 2. After 2.
Greg Olson working on his swing with his shin guards on in the dugout. They do a lot of strange things in the 7th game of the World Series.
Lemke. That's right.
Talk about tension. You can look around the stands and see the owners of each of these clubs, the executives as well as the players. Nobody can sit still.
2 quick ones on Mark, who has had 9 hits.
We've talked about how there's more tension in the League Championship Series, and I think generally speaking that's true. But somehow this year it's different in the World Series. John Schuerholz, the general manager of the Atlanta Braves, his first year. Got to be thinking, what can I do to improve this year?
Into left field and foul. It stays 1-2. Schuerholz over from Kansas City certainly made some shrewd moves. They turned out well for the Braves. Picked up some free agents such as Terry Pendleton, who led the league in batting. Sid Breen, Rafael Belliard. He finished off the picture for the Braves. Two and two. Lemke, Belliard, and Lonnie Smith in the 3rd. Morris is 3-0 in World Series starts and 6-1 in postseason play. 3-2. It was strike 2. 0-2.
Mark Lemke with 3 triples in this series, and he had 2 in 1 game. Biggest names, I guess, most recently, Bobby Richardson of the Yankees, Tommy Davis of the Dodgers.
To the second baseman, Knobloch. Braves have 1 hit in the game. And by David Justice, wasted in the 2nd inning. Pendleton has some advice for Lemke. Belliard is up. And Morris ahead on the count.
Maybe Terry Pendleton was asking Mark Lemke, how do you win a game in this Metrodome? He lost 4 as a member of the Cardinals back in 1987, and he's lost 3 home games up here this year. Road games for him, but of course home games for the Twins.
Through the hole, and the 6th hit for Belliard in this series. 1 on, 1 out. 2nd hit for Atlanta.
The designated hitter, Lonnie Smith.
Nice hitting by Belliard. Pitch was away, and he hits it away. I think Chuck Knobloch will learn after a while that diving on that carpet is not good policy. You can do that on dirt and get away with it, but if you do that over a period of years, that's tough on the body.
Knobloch at second base as the Twins try to induce the double play ball from Lonnie Smith, who has other ideas. Off the glove, and good reaction by Belliard. He's at second with 1 out.
It's exactly what it was too, Jack. Reactions, great instincts by Belliard. We talked about Morris's wild pitches, but I think this is going to be a pass ball. We'll see how it's scored. Yep, it scored a pass ball, and there's Belliard right there, anticipating a ball coming out of the glove, and if you don't anticipate it, you're not going to get a good jump, and he did.
Now it's ball 2 to Lonnie Smith, who started the game with a fly ball to right. He's hit 3 home runs in this series. but 0 for 12 with men in scoring position.
Yeah, all 3 home runs have been solo shots.
He can go the other way with the ball, but we've seen him pull the ball most of the time in the series. That's ball 3. 55,000 plus here at the Metrodome in the Twin Cities. No score, top of the 3rd. Runner at second, 1 out. Game 7. It's all over when the curtain comes down on this one. All around town, Tim, we heard people say it's a shame that somebody's got to lose one tonight. I know it's a cliche, but everybody feels that way, including the Minnesota fans. They admire these Braves and what they've done. Lonnie Smith joins Rafael Belliard on base. Well, how do you win a game here in the Metrodome? Pendleton wants to know. Huh? You do something with men on base. Belliard at second, Lonnie Smith at first. Pendleton grounded out to first his first time, and he has driven in 3 runs in the series. Has 2 homers. Has 10 hits. Last half inning, the Twins left 2 men on.
Big difference, though. They got their 2 men on with 2 outs. There's only 1 out now.
Ball 1 to TP, as they call Terry Pendleton.
Appropriate name for a Braves player.
4 for 8 with runners in scoring position. Here's Scott Erickson, who started last night's game. In game 4, Pendleton had a home run and a double against Jack Morris. One ball, 1 strike. Jimmy Williams reminding the runners, 1 out. Rick Aguilera on the bench. It'll be a while before they will use him, if at all, tonight. One ball, 2 strikes, and Pendleton's had some good swing. You can cut it with a knife here, folks. Into short left field. Gladden cruises to it. 2 out. They got a tough one there. 2 on, 2 out. Ron Gant comes up. Harper went out to talk to his hurler. And sooner or later, if the Braves are going to have good results, this fellow is going to have to pop one. Gant struck out his first time. He's a first ball fastball hitter. And a shortstop. Force out, and Atlanta leads 2. They've left 3. We'll return to the Metrodome after this message and a word from your local station. Atlanta's left 3, Minnesota 2. Bottom of the third, no score. Jeff Treadway on the Atlanta bench. Greg Gagne leads it off. He's batting in the number 9 spot. Has a home run among his 4 hits.
Big 3-run home run in game number 1. Keith Mitchell and Nick Esaski. Nick has been on the disabled list for 2 years with the Atlanta Braves with vertigo.
Smoltz gets ahead on the outside edge. Smoltz has allowed 2 singles. They came in the second after 2 were out. That's strike 2. Scoops. 1 out. Let's go back 31 years and take a trip to Old Forbes Field in Pittsburgh.
This one, in typical fashion, was going right to the wire. Here's a swing and a high fly ball going deep to left. This may do it. Back to the wall goes Berra. It is over the fence, home run. The Pirates win. Ladies and gentlemen, Mazeroski has hit a 1-0 pitch over the left field fence at Forbes Field to win the 1960 World Series for the Pittsburgh Pirates.
And a foul ball off the bat of Gladden.
That is the only home run that has ever ended a World Series. Bill Mazeroski, Game 7, the only home run that ever ended a World Series.
Out of play, strike 2 to Gladden. We've had some games here that ended abruptly, haven't we?
Yeah,
Tim?
this has been a rather unique World Series in which the winning run was driven in on the final pitch in 3 different games. That's the first time it's ever been done. Lemke drove in Justice in Game 3. And then a Willard sacrifice fly plated Lemke in Game 4. And then last night, Kirby Puckett with an 11th inning home run.
Leadoff man has been retired in the 3rd. Gladden hacking away, and it stays 1-2. Tom Kelly. Did he? Nope, says the first base umpire, Harry Wendelstedt. 2-2. He'll get more than one.
Remember the first at bat for Gladden, a lot of sliders away. Smoltz gets ahead of Gladden and tries to come back with a slider, and he hangs it in the middle of the plate, and Gladden does the rest.
He narrowly averted the strikeout on the half swing. Came back with a 1-out double. Knobloch, and then Puckett will have a chance to put the Twins on top in the 3rd. Knobloch fly to right his first time. He missed with that one. Knobloch has driven in 2 runs in this 91 series. 2. Gladden's double was only his 5th hit of the series, but it comes at a time when it puts pressure on the Braves.
Tom Kelly was talking to Dan Gladden to keep an eye on Knobloch. Either that or increase your lead at second base. With 1 out, it's a good time to try to steal third. We'll see.
He's able to get a big lead. 2-2. This is the Metrodome in Minneapolis, the home of the Twins, and it's Game 7 of the series. We're in the bottom of the 3rd. Runner at second base, 1 out. Tim McCarver and Jack Buck with you, and this is the last baseball game of the year. The center of the baseball universe, the Metrodome. Into right field. Justice is there. 2 out. The runner tags. Goes to third.
This may seem like a harmless out, but it does push Gladden to third base. And the one thing to keep in mind, we talked about the wild pitches of Jack Morris. John Smoltz had 20 wild pitches during the season. That's the most by any pitcher in the major leagues. So being at third base with 2 outs is much more important with a guy like Smoltz out there than it would normally be.
Is he a popular man here? Puckett ran back to the pitcher his first time. There's that pitch in the dirt that Tim was talking about. Ball 2.
With a guy like Puckett up there, you're not going to give him anything too good to hit. You're going to try to make your breaking balls break a little more. That means there's a chance of it being in the dirt, and there's going to be a little more ride on the fastball. I don't think that they'll give in to Puckett by throwing a fastball here.
I wonder if Puckett can get a hit after Pat O'Brien woke him up so early this morning to do an interview. Runner at third, 2 out. Usually, Tim, you get to an exciting game. Once the game starts, everything settles down and everybody's relaxed. Not tonight.
Not this one, no.
Not tonight. Well, there was an excellent pitch by Smoltz.
Smoltz has just blown the last 2 fastballs right by Kirby Puckett. See what they go with, he and catcher Greg Olson, what they call here with the count 2-2. It's going to be the slider.
We have 6 more innings to go of torture and pleasure.
This game summary is sponsored by Budweiser.
We've played 3 and each team has left 3. And we're scoreless. 4th inning. John Smoltz and Jack Morris holding 4th. And Morris ready to pitch to David Justice. There's a real lollipop and a strike. A little bit of everything from this veteran hurler.
That lollipop was sweet if you're looking for it, but most hitters don't look for it. He only throws it 4 or 5 times a game. 2 in a row. How about that?
He's got 2 more to go.
Mind you, the 46 All-Star game. Rip Sewell to Ted Williams. The result was a lot different as Williams hit his second home run. You could see all 4 fingers choking the ball. That's a palm ball from Morris.
This one misses, although Harper thought they had a strikeout, and so did Jack Morris. Morris is really howling about that last one.
Here's that second pitch right there. Look how Morris chokes that changeup. And hitters, if they do swing at it, they have a tendency to swing at the arm motion. That's how he got ahead of Justice, but that 0-2 pitch was close.
And he gets him out. And that for Jack Morris, his 3rd strikeout. We'll hear from Jim Cott.
Well, from field level, watching some of those close pitches and the facial reactions from both Jack Morris and John Smoltz, it's pretty evident. Not pleased with Don Dinkinger's strike zone, but that's customary. He's not known in the American League as a pitcher's umpire. Very tight zone.
David Justice wasn't pleased with that fork ball from Morris either.
Here's Bream to the opposite field, chased by Gladden. He's there. Fair ball, 2 out. That off-speed pitch from Jack Morris, we clocked at 63 miles per hour.
And of course the palm ball, big disparity between that pitch and his split finger fastball. Kitty, is there anybody who throws a fork ball any harder than Morris in the American League?
I don't think so, and I think that's one of the big differences. Atlanta is seeing pitchers like Morris and Tapani, who doesn't throw quite as hard with the hard fork ball.
Hunter, ball 1.
I guess Mike Scott, when he was healthy, was comparable to the way Morris throws his.
Brian Hunter struck out in the 2nd. Jack Morris having no difficulty here in the 4th. Braves have had 2 hits and a walk. Hits by Justice and Belliard, a walk to Lonnie Smith. Well hit into the gap, and Gladden can't catch it. And a 2-out double for Brian Hunter. Hunter gets his 4th hit of the series.
That is the 40th extra base hit of this World Series. The record for extra base hits by 2 teams in a World Series, 42. So both teams just 2 extra base hits away from a World Series record. There have been 16 home runs hit in this series. Series record is 17, so they're 1 home run away. And when you think about it, Jack, you don't think about the last 6 games as that much offense involved.
Well, they've been spread 8 home runs for each team.
2 extra inning games, I guess, added to that too.
Greg Olson could put Atlanta on top here in the 4th. He needs a 2-out hit. Olson has 6 hits, 5 walks. He's driven in 1 run in the series. And they get so many chances in the game. He's had a leadoff single in the 2nd. Had 2 on with 1 out in the 3rd. And this is a 2-out opportunity. And different signs with that runner at second. Two and one. Mark Lemke will bat next. Either here in the fourth or leading off in the fifth. Three and one. Mr. Morris is not very happy. And I think he believes he should be getting more calls than he's been getting.
Brian Harper trying to calm him down.
Out of play, 3 and 2.
Got her glove.
Yes, he's ready.
Sir. Right.
Madam Leather, she is ready. Still 3 and 2. There's a lot of hitting room up the middle with Olson batting. Hunter running the bases at second. That ball is caught by Mack. A well-hit ball by Olson. And we're still scoreless, and now Atlanta has left 4. Home half of the fourth. 3-0 for each club. Tension fills the park. Hrbek leads it off. Out of play, strike 1 to Kent, who flied to right his first time and is 3 out of 24 and 0 for his last 14. But he's a big threat. 1 ball, 1 strike. And Hrbek says it hit him, and he goes to first base. Here comes Bobby Cox out to argue. I don't think Olson is really arguing. Cox is saying it didn't hit him.
Well, there was a delayed reaction on the part of Ken Hrbek and Don Dinkinger, the home plate umpire. Olson, I think, initiated the request. The slider inside, did it hit him? It looked like it did. Or it looked like it could have. Watch the delayed reaction on the part of Hrbek. Now Dinkinger is looking down. Now Dinkinger ought to call that right away and not be enticed to call it after Hrbek calls his attention to it. Seems to me that if you call the play right away, that would be the appropriate thing to do. You can't let a hitter talk you into thinking that that he was hit by the pitch.
Judging by the way Olson and Smoltz reacted, you would have to say it did hit him, right?
I thought Olson questioned the call. Yeah, that's exactly right. I thought he questioned the call, and then Cox came out. I think that's what brought Cox out of the dugout.
Any event, the leadoff man is on for the first time in the game for the Twins, and Chili Davis has a 1-1 count.
Number one, a pitcher can't tell whether it hits him or not. The catcher can, and the catcher, what he determines is whether the ball changed directions or not. If the ball changed directions, then it hit him. If it didn't change directions, it didn't hit him.
Williams playing behind Hrbek at first. Nobody out. balls and a strike. Hrbek is happy to get on base any old way. He's been low for his last 14. Twins have left 3. They have their leadoff man here on base in the 4th. Here comes Hunter from deep left. 1 out.
We talked about the 1924 World Series. Well, in 1926, check this out. With 2 outs in the bottom of the 9th inning, Babe Ruth was caught stealing second base, and that not only ended the game, it ended the series. And that gentleman right there, his name is Pat Olson. He's 90 years young. This is his 283rd consecutive World Series game. 283. I don't know how many years that covers.
A little pop fly behind second might drop. Justice with a good play, held onto the ball. That's the second out, and Justice has done that frequently here in postseason. Came up with a little burn, but he got the ball off the bat of Harper.
Yeah, Dave has messed up a couple of balls, but he's also made several fine sliding catches, and this is among them. Nice play, David Justice.
Now there are 2 out with Hrbek still at first. John Smoltz will deal with Shane Mack. Good breaking ball.
The baseball field where Chuck Knobloch, the Twins' second baseman, played down in Texas A&M, by the way, is named after Pat Olson, that 90-year-old gentleman that you just saw.
Didn't they tell us he was a roommate of Lou Gehrig?
Lou Gehrig back in 1924 in the minor leagues. Can you imagine that? 283 straight World Series games. That's a baseball fan right there. What a great face, huh? Great.
Get that camera away.
He's got his hand. I think he's got his handkerchief waving the camera away.
Hrbek hit by pitch. Davis flied out. Harper flied out. Shane Mack the batter. And has left 4. The Twins have left 3. 2-1 the count. Think this game is going to be decided. We have played 4 innings. There is no score. It couldn't be any more even. No score after 4. 3 hits each club. No errors in the game. Each team has left 4. Each team has won 3 games of this 91 series. Each team has won 3 games at home in this series. This is the final baseball game of the year. Jack Morris. Mark Lemke. Ball 1, we're underway. Lemke grounded out his first time. And another hit for the little guy. That is number 10 for Lemke. And it marks the second time in the game the Braves have put their leadoff man on base. And we're to the point where you would expect a bunt, Tim.
Well, with Belliard coming up, it is a guarantee that Belliard will be bunting on the first pitch. I don't know if Bobby Cox will change it. Mark Lemke on with his 10th hit. Not bad for a 27th round draft choice.
That's the 4th hit of the night for Atlanta. Never more than 1 per inning. Belliard singled his first time. He's a good bunter ordinarily. Herbeck holding against the runner. Play will be to first, and Herbeck takes the throw.
There are a lot of ways to sacrifice successfully on the artificial surface. One of the best ways is just to bunt the ball into the ground. Look at the high hop that Harper has to contend with, and that's enough to get Lemke to second base. That ball looked like it was off home plate. Good bunt by Belliard.
Now the Braves want something from their leadoff hitter with Lemke at second and 1 out. Lonnie Smith is flying to right, and he's walked. We're in the top of the 5th. No score. Terry Pendleton on deck. But the man of the moment for the Braves is Lonnie Smith. And he bunts. And the play by Pagliarulo, safe. First and third, 1 out. Rather surprising play by the Atlanta outfielder.
Well, if you do this with a runner at second base who was just bunted over, it's got to work 100 out of 100 times. And had that throw been on the money, Lonnie would have been out. Ken Herbeck tried to make it work. The ball into the home plate side. Pagliarulo, a fine play. Lonnie Smith, a bunt base hit. So it's unusual, but it worked. No pictures, just numbers.
We'll see what comes of it. As Harper talked to his pitcher. Lonnie Smith at first.
This ball bunted awfully hard, but Smith down to first base in a hurry, and the throw just pulling Herbeck off the bag.
So Lonnie Smith says to Terry Pendleton, you do it. Pendleton is 0 for 2.
Of course, it's easier for Pendleton to do it because now there's a runner at third and still only 1 out. But a double play in order.
Strike 1, foul ball to Pat Corrales. Lemke started all of this consternation with a base hit. He was bunted down to second, advanced on the bunt single by Lonnie Smith.
So if you're the infielders now, if you're the middle infielders, you say if the ball's hit sharply to me, we try for 2. If you're on the corners, first or third, a ball hit sharply to me, I go for 2. If it's not hit hard, I come home with the ball. Those are the thoughts in the infielders' minds right now.
Everything came to a standstill, and Pendleton asked for time. I mean, everything was at a standstill. Jack Morris pitching to the National League's leading hitter of this year, Terry Pendleton. He wants at least a fly ball. One ball, one strike. This game too important for that family to stay away. Bring the kids.
One ticket for 2 people.
Popped him up for the second out. Shortstop wants it. And has it 2 out. So Pendleton leaves them.
The split finger popped up. Watch Greg Gagne with that right hand. Once that hand goes up, A lot of times you can't hear the infielder, but you can certainly see him. And Greg Gagne makes the play.
So Gladden stayed away, and there are 2 on, 2 out. And up is Ron Gant, who is 0 for 7 in game 6 and 7. 0 for 2 tonight. I said it the last time he batted. If the Braves are going to win, sooner or later, Ron's going to have to do something. Crowd hooting and hollering on each pitch. Braves have left 4. Have 2 on, 2 up. No score in the 5th. Lemke and Smith run the bases. 1-1. Lonnie Smith is somewhat of a threat to run in a spot like this.
Well, with Gant the batter, I think they're going to give Gant a chance to drive the run home. I don't think Smith's going to run unless Gant gets 2 strikes on him, 1 and 2.
In the dirt, blocked the runner halfway, and he is safe. He got back.
Pagliarulo tried to block him off the bag. That's a legal play. You're not supposed to do it without the ball, but if the ball's close to you, most umpires will give it to you. You can see Harper, the ball rolling out in front of home plate. Harper stays at home. Morris picks it up, and the throw back to third. Watch Pagliarulo. He tried to block him off. He thought he had him, but Lemke back just in time. Boy, that was close.
It was really close.
Very close. Pagliarulo thought he had him.
The count has gone to 2 balls and a strike to Ron Gant. First and third, 2 out, no score, 5th inning. That was close.
And just back.
Really close.
Looked like the tag was high by Herbeck.
The count 3-1.
One more look at Mike Pagliarulo, the third baseman. Lemke halfway, and he tries to get back. Look at the right knee of Pagliarulo. He drops down, but Lemke is clearly back in there. Good call.
Now 3-1, and we'll see if Lonnie Smith leaves from first. Not going. And a foul makes it 3-2. This fella hasn't hit a home run since Game 3 of the National League Championship Series. The inside of Ron Gant's cap, it says, I will, I can, I am. That's his philosophy applied to baseball. First and third, 2 out, 3-2. Lonnie Smith will go. Still hold against him, and they might try a pickoff play. Runner going. Strike. Four strikeouts for Jack Morris, and the Braves have left 6. Morris has blanked Atlanta for 5 innings on 5 hits. And John Smoltz goes back to work to pitch to the number 8 and 9 hitters. Now Urillo hitting 8th. He grounded out his first time to Sid Bream. Hits it deep into center. Gant back at the track. He's there, and he made the catch. Well, here's everybody's good friend Ernie Harwell with his World Series fondest memory.
Favorite World Series moment was 1968 in St. Louis, 7th game of the World Series. The Tigers had come from behind, tied the series at 3 games apiece. Slolich and Gibson were tied up in a brilliant pitching duel, nothing to nothing. Got to the 7th inning, the Tigers got 2 men on. Jim Northrup hits a fly ball to center field. Turns out to be a 3-base hit. The Tigers go ahead and win the World's Championship of 1968.
Ball 1 to Greg Gagne. At the conclusion of this game, folks, Ernie Harwell will deliver our epilogue. And if I may implore you, don't go away when this game is over. We'll have all the post-game activities after a winner has been determined. And the final footage of the night, believe me, is worth your staying around. So please, please don't turn it off. There's a strike to Gagne, 1-1.
Earlier in that 1968 series, Bob Gibson set the record for most strikeouts in a game in a World Series with 17. In that game, Curt Flood was stuck in the mud on that ball hit by Northrup. And that's why he didn't get a good jump. And the Tigers went on to win that game 4-1.
And Tim McCarver was a part of that, as he was in 64 and 67. So he knows the tension riding this when we're in the bottom of the 5th. The leadoff man has gone down. Gagne, who grounded to third his first time, is up with 1 out. Doing 1. Now it's 3-1. 3-1. Gagne has a home run in this series. And it's 3-2. Smoltz has hit 1. Allowed 3 hits. Walked none. Struck out 3. And he gets another strikeout. That's his 4th. 2 gone in the inning. This copyrighted telecast presented by authority of Major League Baseball. It may not be reproduced or retransmitted in any form without the express written consent of Major League Baseball. Dan Gladden struck out. Ended a 1-out double in the 3rd. Up the middle. Nothing doing. His 2nd hit. And the 4th of the night for the Twins.
Gladden spanks it hard up the middle. Lemke can't come up with it. And one would think with 2 outs now that Gladden is going to be off. You don't know which pitch, but he'll probably wait until Smoltz is behind in the count. And that way, the chance of a pitch out is much less.
It certainly feels like a running situation. Gladden stole 15 bases during the season, was caught 9 times. Folks have run successfully against John Smoltz this year. Now block waits and another throw goes to first. 2 outs, single. Here in the Minnesota 5th.
Notice how John Smoltz comes set with his arms away from his body. He doesn't bring his hands in. When you do that, you have to do that every time. See the arms away from the body?
Into center field for Gant. Now we have played 5 scoreless innings, and we'll return to the Hubert H. Humphrey Metrodome after this message and a word from your local station.
This pinch hitter the Braves have, Tommy Gregg, has taken his jacket off. He took his soft hat off and speculating that Brian Hunter, that right thumb, may be too bruised for him to hit. We'll see. He's due up third in this inning.
After Justice and Bream are underway in the 6th, strike 1. There's Tommy Gregg. He is ready if Bobby Cox wants him.
Yeah, those hard hats are very uncomfortable, and the only time a hitter puts those things on is when he's going to go up to bat.
One ball, one strike. Justice singled leading off in the 2nd. Then he struck out. He's had 7 hits and 2 home runs in this World Series. Leadoff hitter in the 6th. Justice in the hole. Hits it to Hrbek. To the pitcher.
Ken Hrbek says he plays first base like a hockey goalie. Anything that gets by him, he thinks, is a goal. Well, there hadn't been too many goals in Ken Hrbek's career with him at first base. He's the best there is.
That's what his manager says. He's the best I ever saw, says Tom Kelly. I think, Tim, you and I would throw in for Keith Hernandez in the National League.
He's not active, though.
With 1 out, Sid Bream takes his strike. Let's hear from Jim Cott at this stage of things.
Yeah, Brian Hunter spent a lot of time on the bench flexing that thumb, checking it out. And Tommy Gregg still has a bat in his hand and is ready to go up in case he can't swing it.
Hunter's on deck. Gregg standing by. Atlanta has left 6. They have 5 hits and a walk. Bream hits it to Hrbek. Bream 0 for 3. And Hunter will take his place at the plate. Bryan struck out in the 2nd. Doubled into left center in the 4th inning.
Some people may not realize how much force a hitter uses when he swings a bat. There are a lot of tendons in the fingers and in the thumb, and you pull one of those tendons and it's very difficult to hit.
So Tommy Gregg relaxes. Two quick outs here in the 6th. That floater dipped low, 1-1. The big guys will come up for Minnesota in the bottom of the 6th inning. They've stranded 5. Hunter, 12 home runs during the season. There's 1 in the World Series. Into center field, Puckett coming. He's there. And the Braves have gone 6 innings without scoring a run. Puckett will lead it off.
No score, bottom of the 6th inning, and you can see Brian Hunter in a great deal of pain. Watch him look at his right thumb. That was after making the last out on the top of the 6th. Hunter's still in the ball game, however. We'll see whether he hits his next time at bat.
Well, it's still up to John Smoltz to hold these Twins. Puckett leading off. Kirby is right back to the mound and struck out. You know what he did last night in the 11th inning. Lights out. 1-1. Smoltz has struck out 4, walked none, hit 1. Here's the final football score. The Redskins over the Giants by 4, 17-13. Redskins, the only undefeated team in the National Football League. New Orleans dropped one today. And at one time, the Giants led 13-0 in that game, but Washington came back and won it. This is Game 7 of the 1991 World Series. Bottom of the 6th. 2-2. Puckett, Hrbek, and Davis. Full count. Only once have the Twins put their leadoff man on base in this inning. What is a power confrontation there?
Looked like the hard slider, and that's true. The slider is a power pitch. It is not an off-speed pitch. Most pitchers throw it almost as hard as the fastball. So when you talk about off-speed pitches, you usually don't include the slider.
He walks Puckett to start the 6th. That's the first walk by the Atlanta Hurler. And Hrbek 0 for his last 14. He's a big threat in this friendly park. Did he go around? No.
You know, a quick check of the regular season shows that Ken Hrbek had 3 sacrifice bunts this year, but you'd have to assume they were against left-handed pitchers.
Cox was upset about that half swing. I thought Hrbek had swung also. He went around that time, 1-1. Let's go down to Jim Cott.
Tim, you know from being behind the plate when Steve Carlton was pitching, boy, you get a lot of strikes on check swings. And that's what we're seeing here tonight, the last one to Hrbek. Tough to lay off that hard slider and curve.
Serves as the illusion of a strike. A hitter goes after it when it's in the strike zone, and it breaks late. The later the break, the more effective the pitch.
Two balls and a strike.
Good play by Greg Olson. He goes at it the wrong way, but he comes up the right way.
Puckett at first, nobody out. 2-2 to Hrbek. Atlanta fans had a lot of good-natured fun with Ken Hrbek. Lead-off walk in this inning. Into center field, Gant. Runner tagging at first. Gant holds him there. So Hrbek couldn't move him along.
Designated hitter, Julie. Davis.
Baker's picked the wrong time of year to go south.
Very poor in postseason play against Toronto and the Atlanta Braves.
Up now is Chili Davis. He has struck out, flied out, 1 on, 1 out. No score in the 6th. To Bream, throws to second, gets one, and gets the return. Folks, this game is going to be decided late, isn't it?
No score through 6 innings, and you will never see a double play turned any faster than the double play turned by Sid Bream and Rafael Belliard. Watch the quick hands. Inside of the bag. Boy, that's nice. 3-6-3, easy. Chili Davis out by 3 strides at first.
That was pretty with Belliard in the middle of it. Now we go into the 7th inning of the 7th game. Scoreless. First up, Greg Olson. He lined out with a runner at second and 2 out in the 4th. Hit the ball very well against Jack Morris. What a job these 2 pitchers have done tonight. Jack Morris and John Smoltz.
Brian Hunter, the left fielder of the Braves, icing that right thumb down.
1-1 to Olson.
By the way, this is the 32nd 7th game in World Series history. Only one other decisive game has been scoreless through 6 innings, and that was the game that Ernie Harwell talked about earlier. The 7th game of the 1968 World Series, Detroit and St. Louis. In that game, Detroit scored 3 in the top of the 7th inning.
Olson's in the hole, and this one is tight, tight, tight. Atlanta's left 6 at this point. Jack Morris has retired 5 in a row. Got Olson. James speeds and got him. 5th strikeout for Morris. It's hard to be a hero.
If you're a hitter tonight. These guys are throwing some buzz balls up there. Morris with the fastball, the high fastball, the splitter, an occasional slider.
Lemke into center field, and Puckett waits. 2 out. 7 in a row by Morris. Let's hear from Jim Cott.
Yeah, Jack and Tim, I find this fascinating just watching Smoltz and Morris duel. Can you imagine what it was like for John Smoltz as a kid? He's 12 years younger than Jack Morris, playing in the backyard, being a Tiger fan, and Morris was his hero. You always dream about what it's like, you know, to play in a situation like this, and now you're watching a guy do it in real life. It's unbelievable.
There's John Smoltz. And unless Belliard does something, Smoltz will go back to the mound in the bottom of the 7th, scoreless. Ball 1. Belliard, a hit and a sacrifice. No home runs on the year, in case you folks are wondering.
He only has 1 for his career. Over 1,400 at-bats in the big leagues. His only home run coming off Eric Schau, who was then with the San Diego Padres.
Going down, Banner.
2-1. Belliard, you think you're at Williamsport. He's a tiny guy, 5'6". Look at his strike zone when he crouches. Tough to pitch to. He thought he had walked. 3-2.
This is a high strike thrown by Morris, and a lot of pitchers don't get that pitch anymore. Those pitches above the waist.
And then he got it. 6 strikeouts for Morris. He's retired 8 in a row. Middle of the 7th inning, 7th game. No score. Isn't this something? This 7th game going down to the bottom of the 7th without any score, and John Smoltz, young as he is, matching Jack Morris. Harper leads off, ball 1. Brian Harper is singled and flied out. Smoltz has fanned 4, walked 1. There's Jack Morris. He's gone through 7 innings. Ball 2 to Brian Harper, who commands that strike zone. John Smoltz threw a 9-inning victory over the Pirates in Game 7 of the National League Championship Series. Shut him out. 2-1. These hitters are being aggressive, Tim. They just can't catch up with these guys.
Yep. Everybody seems to be behind the fastballs. Both pitchers maintaining their strength throughout this game.
2-2 to Brian Harper.
I think because they're throwing so hard, you find the infielders off the lines. There you see Terry Pendleton. It's an indication of how hard he's throwing.
He's in the right spot. Nice going, Tim. There's 1 out. He was in the right spot.
When you're throwing that hard, then your infielders have a tendency to play toward the middle of the field. That's why Pendleton was off the line at third base. Smoltz and Morris maintaining that power throughout.
Shane Mack is up. He's had a hit. 1 of the 4 gathered by the Twins tonight. 1 for 2. He's a threat. He bunts. Pendleton with a tough chance. Excellent 2 out. What a play by Terry Pendleton. He was playing as deep as we had just shown you, yet made the play on Shane Mack.
Anticipation on the part of Pendleton. The minute Mack gets into that bunting situation, Pendleton charges and watch him barehanded. Terrific play by Pendleton.
And 2 outs in the home 7th. Well, here is a very dangerous number 8 hitter at the plate. Mike Pagliarulo 0 for 2. Smoltz gets ahead. Boy, this is something with these 2 pitchers. Man, so enjoyable. And folks, this is the longest that any 7th game has ever progressed without either team scoring. Longest ever. No score in the bottom of the 7th. There's the line score. All pitching. That missed for ball 2. Top of the order will come up for Atlanta in the 8th. Smoltz still has to get Pagliarulo. Bobby Cox unhappy with the umpire. Doing a lot of head shaking this evening. 3-1 the count. to Pendleton again. He threw out the side. We're going into the 8th inning. Isn't this something? 7th inning, 7th game. No score.
This game summary is sponsored by AT&T.
It's all pitching here tonight. Jack Morris, John Smoltz, 9 hits total. The longest scoreless start of a 7th game in a World Series. Jack Morris takes it into the 8th. Faces the top of the order. Ronnie Smith, Barry Pendleton, and Ron Gant. Ball 1. Smith is flied out, walked and singled. That was a bunt single in the 5th with a runner at second, 1 out. It did not pay off. That's going to drop. I think it does. And that's the second hit of the night for Lonnie. On base for the 3rd time. Half swing got him a base hit.
The third baseman, Terry Pendleton.
Now what do you do with Pendleton, Tim?
Well, there are a lot of ways you can go. You can bunt, you can hit and run, or you can play it straight up. If Pendleton doesn't move the runner along, you can steal with Lonnie Smith.
Pendleton is 0 for 3 tonight. Had been hot coming into the game. Shut down by Jack Morris. Ball 1. Pendleton sacrificed 7 times this year.
See, the reason that Bobby Cox isn't bunting here, I think, is that the matchup Morris against Pendleton is better for the Braves and Bobby Cox than the matchup of Gant and Morris. So why would you bunt your better matchup player to get to a guy who is not as good as Pendleton as far as average is concerned? Power, yes, but not average.
This is the 3rd time in the game Atlanta's put their leadoff man on base.
You've got the hole open on the right side with Herbeck holding the runner on at first base. Tom Kelly pointing to his head. We'll see if Harper does the same thing. I think that's the sign to throw over to first base.
Pendleton took a strike. That's 1-1.
Well, whenever Kelly goes to his head, then Brian Harper, you saw him go to his head. And that's the sign for the pitcher to either throw to first base or to use the slide step. We've been seeing that too often during this series to try to figure it out. So Jack Morris using the slide step there.
Lead off single by Lonnie Smith. Keeping a close eye on his pitcher here in the 8th inning.
He went to his head again, so this is either a slide step or a throw to first base.
They pay a lot of attention to Smith, who stole 9 bases during the season. In the bullpen, Steve Bedrosian and Mark Guthrie, the right-hander and left-hander. Scoreless 8th inning, 7th game, leadoff hit by Smith. Pendleton hits it out of play, and he's in the hole 1-2. Atlanta has the National League's leading hitter at the plate. Pendleton hit 22 home runs this season, plus 2 in the World Series. The Minnesota crowd wants a strikeout. The Atlanta Rooters want a hit. The ball is is in the dirt, says the third base umpire, Terry Tatum. And Pendleton is still alive on the foul tip.
So he foul tipped it, then the ball went in the dirt, and then it skipped into Harper's mitt. That was the call. Let's see if it happened. Yes, good call by third base umpire Terry Tatum. Clearly into the dirt.
Don Denkinger, the plate umpire, asked for help and got it. Runner at first, nobody out in the Atlanta eighth. This will be the 100th pitch of the evening from Jack Morris. Pendleton into left center field. That ball is down and a bad. Well, it's off the wall. Lonnie Smith is held up at third, and he didn't do very good base running. That was terrible by Lonnie.
He didn't pick the ball up. He stopped when he rounded second base. He may have gone for the decoy around second. Lonnie Smith sees the ball in the gap, and look, he looked at Knobloch. You see Gagne and Knobloch combining for the decoy. Smith clearly could have scored on the ball had he been running all the way. As it was, the decoy of Knobloch and Gagne held Smith at third base. Knobloch, the one thing you don't do if you're the runner from first base, you don't look at the infielders. Never trust the infielders. Only trust where the ball was hit. Smith with a clear view of where that ball was hit, and he went for the decoy at second base. And that's why he didn't score.
The infield comes in now as Ron Gant comes up. I thought Atlanta got a bad break because the ball was going to jump over the fence. They got a bad break when Lonnie did that poor base running. And we still have no score, but it's second and third and nobody out. Another chance for Gant. And he pops it out of play. Gant is 0 for 3. He left 2 on in the third. And he left 2 on in the fifth inning. He wants at least a fly ball to put Atlanta on top here in the 8th inning. And Tom Kelly goes down the line with Jack Morris. Little roller, and they'll get an out without a run scored. They got Gant again. He's 0 for 4.
So Gant can again, but let's go back to the decoy play of Lonnie Smith running. Look at Chuck Knobloch, the second baseman, and watch him go through the routine of throwing a ball that is not there. Now watch Gagne. There's Gagne right there. He acts like it's a play too. That stops Lonnie Smith. It confuses him. He stops at second base. He continues to third, but it's too late. So Lonnie could have scored. He didn't, and now it's 1 out with runners at second and third.
And Tom Kelly goes to the mound. He has Bedrosian and Guthrie in the bullpen, and he has Justice and Bream coming up. What a big out that was when they got Ronnie Gant, who is 0 for 4. Let's take a trip downstairs to Jim Cott.
Well, it appeared, as you'd imagine, this conversation was Jack Morris. Who would you rather face? David Justice, Sid Bream. You want to walk him intentionally? I mean, they have made Justice look bad on some fork balls in the dirt, but that's pretty dangerous with a guy on third base. And I think that's what the discussion was about with Kelly and Morris. Who would you rather pitch to?
Well, Atlanta coming into this inning had left 6. Now they've already missed a scoring opportunity. Justice is going to be walked. It will be the second pass by Jack Morris. And it's going to load the bases with 1 out. Here in the 8th inning of a scoreless game. And And there's Sid Bream in the on-deck circle. He'll be up with the bases loaded and 1 out. Great opportunity for Atlanta. Nasty spot for the Twins. 7th game, folks. Sid Bream is 0 for 3. Grounded to second, fly to left, grounded to first. And there is a Braves fan. Infielders are back now at second and short. Ball 1. Of course, there's always that problem, too, when you give the intentional walk to load the bases. The runners on base tonight. Atlanta 2 for 11. Twins 1 for 10. Green wants at least the fly ball. Twins desperately want the double play. Good swing by Sid, and it's 1-1. Bobby Cox knows that he should have had a run already here in the 8th. One thing Sid Bream doesn't want to do is get that 2-strike count on him with Morris in possession of that split finger delivery.
A lot of pressure on Harper also if the splitter's in the dirt.
Bream is in the hole, 1 and 2. Lonnie Smith at third instead of on the bench. Pendleton had doubled as at second. They walk Justice. And it's 1 ball, 2 strikes to Sid Bream. 1 out. And the play is to home. Out there. Out there. Saw it as you did. But I still can't digest that Atlanta 8th inning. We're still scoreless in the bottom of the inning. 7th game of the series. Pinch hitter is up. Randy Bush. Up the middle, base hit.
Sometimes by playing good defense, you ignite the offense. Bases loaded and 1 out. And what a huge double play this was for Hrbek. Harper back to Hrbek.
That was really something, and now the Braves, by not scoring, by messing up on the base paths, have left Smoltz in a bad spot. Leo Mazzoni, the pitching coach, is out talking to John. They're going to leave him in there. We have a pinch runner for Randy Bush. That's Al Newman. Smoltz had retired 5 in a row, and Bush gets that base hit. Newman, the runner. And the top of the order is up, represented by Gladden. Gladden had 5 sacrifice bunts during the year.
And I think you'll see another one here.
He's 2 for 3 on the night. Wow, wow, wow. At top of the inning. Single by Lonnie Smith, a double by Pendleton. Smith would have scored standing up if he had continued to run. Out of play, strike one. And the Braves get Pena, the right-hander, and Mike Stanton, the left-hander, on their feet. The go-ahead run on at first, nobody out for the Twins. Only the second time they've had their leadoff man on base this evening. Sid Green desperately wanted to pull the ball to avoid the double play. He pulled it and hit into the double play. After Gant had rolled out in the top of the inning. And bunts it foul again, strike two.
So now what Dan Gladden wants to do is change the bunting situation into a base hit. If you're John Smoltz, on the other hand, you want to change the failure to get the runner over into an out without moving the runner.
Smoltz has been a wonderful hurler for the Braves tonight, as has Jack Morris for the Twins. One ball, two strikes. No score, home half of the eighth inning. Is this Atlanta pitcher equal to the task? It's a tough situation. Out of play, and it stays 1-2. Twins at left five, hit into a double play. And Gladden stays up there. 1-2 it remains. The designated hitter is Lonnie Smith, so he's on the bench as the Twins bat in the bottom of the inning. Base running gap cost Atlanta a run. Now John Smoltz is up to 100 pitches in the contest. Ron Gant comes to it. One out, the runner back. So Gladden fails to move the runner over. And give the pitcher credit for that. Game 7 of the 91 series in the Metrodome in Minneapolis. Bottom of the eighth. One on, one out, and no score. 7 hits for Atlanta, 5 for Minnesota. A good hit and run man is up there now in Chuck Knobloch. He has flied out 3 times this inning. Newman the runner. Took a strike.
You have a good hit and run man, but not a good hit and run pitcher. John Smoltz is best and most effective when he throws high fastballs. A pitcher who throws high fastballs, you don't want to hit and run against, because the chances of you putting the ball in play in the air are too great.
We'll see what the Twins do as they try to come up with a run. Pitch out by Atlanta, nothing shaking. 1 ball, 1 strike. pinch running for Bush. He batted for Gagne. Bush did and got the hit. Now there's one out. Can't say enough about this young Atlanta hurler. John Smoltz. Runner going. Base hit. First and third, one out. And who's up? Puckett.
They did indeed the hit and run. Newman running on the play. The line drive just over the glove of Sid Bream. Newman into third easily. Chuck Knobloch had flied out 3 times, and when he needed a line drive, he got one. Interesting situation right here. You know what would be unusual strategy? Walk Puckett and get to Hrbek. Hrbek has not been a good hitter the whole season, and if Cox goes to a left-hander, I think that's exactly what he's going to do.
John Smoltz was terrific tonight, but is knocked out here in the 8th inning in favor of Mike Stanton. First and third, one out, no score. Well, wasn't this young man terrific? Took the game scoreless into the 8th inning, pitched 7 1/3, no runs, 6 hits, struck out 4, hit 1, walked 1, and gives way to Mike Stanton. Let's go down to Jim Kaat.
Well, Jack, Mike Stanton, according to Ken Hrbek, was as tough a left-hander as he has seen all year. Probably the most comparable Scott Radinsky of the Chicago White Sox.
Well, Tim McCarver called a turn. It's going to be Hrbek up there with the bases loaded because they are indeed walking Kirby Puckett.
You talk about brassy for Bobby Cox. I'm telling you, this takes a lot of guts right here, but consider the reasoning. The way the Braves have been swinging the bats, Bobby probably considers one run, you know, that's going to open the floodgate. One run's going to win it. So he's playing it like the bottom of the 9th instead of the bottom of the 8th. Ken Hrbek has struck out 3 times against Mike Stanton. And that gives you an idea of what Jim Kaat was talking about, and that's why Hrbek doesn't like to face Stanton, but here he is facing him in the most important situation of the series.
Interesting battle right here is that Stanton has been running that fastball in on Hrbek, and the way he handled Radinsky was he was patient and got a pitch away from him. He'll be trying to hit the ball to left field there.
Fastballs inside and sliders away. Stanton to Hrbek.
Well, it doesn't matter who you're rooting for. Isn't this wonderful? No score on the bottom of the 8th. Bases loaded, one out here in Game 7. Infielders back at second and short. Stanton misses. As we mentioned earlier, when you walk the bases loaded, you really put that pitcher on a hot spot. Hrbek hit by a pitch, 0 for 2. Wants at least a fly ball. And he hits it foul, 1-1. Stanton wants the strikeout, pop-up, or double play. Al Newman, the runner at third. And Chuck Knobloch down at second, and they walk Kirby Puckett. Hrbek is 0 for his last 15. 0 for 8 with runners in scoring position in the World Series. Ball 2. John Schuerholz, the general manager of the Braves. Sweating out his pitcher Stanton, and Hrbek can look for something to swing at here. And a line drive and a double play sends us into the 9th inning scoreless. So the Braves catch a break. Stanton catches a break. And Hrbek failed to bring him home.
Jammed on the pitch, and Lemke is there, and he steps on second, an unassisted double play. Unbelievable.
Hasn't this been, and isn't it, magnificent? 7th game, 9th inning, no score. And through it all, as you try to find a smile and you can't, you find no happy faces here among the players. Through it all, Jack Morris still on the hill for the Twins. And ball 1, Hunter. We have the new shortstop, Al Newman. After they lifted Gagne for the successful pinch hitter, Randy Bush. Hunter has a double in 3 trips. To the third baseman, Pagliarulo. 1 out.
Once again, Morris maintaining his velocities, so Pagliarulo stays off the line and makes the play. Hey, in that double play, Chuck Knobloch breaking at second base. A third base coach reminds the guy at second to watch the line drive, but you really can't fault Knobloch on that play.
Now it's Olsen. He's 0 for 3. Newman gets it. Wow. You're aware, aren't you, folks, that Atlanta missed a chance in the 8th. Single by Smith, double by Pendleton. Smith held up at third base as he lost sight of the ball. And Atlanta missed a golden opportunity. Now Lemke with 2 out. He's had a hit. He's 1 for 3. Jack Morris trying to complete the 9-inning shutout. If Lemke fails, the Braves can only win in extra innings. Two out, nobody on, and these folks want the inning to come to a close. Morris has walked 2, 1 intentionally, struck out 6. And scattered 7 Atlanta hits. The Braves have left 8 and hit into a double play. This is a fantastic game. Jeff Blauser moves on deck. He'll bat for Belliard if Lemke is able to get on. Too tough to take for this lead.
Lemke trying to nail one.
Minnesota could win the World Series with a run in the 9th. Chili Davis, Brian Harper, Shane Mack will try to win it for the Twins in the 9th as they bat against Mike Stanton. Stanton came on in the 8th and got a line drive double play. Davis is 0 for 3. He was whacking away trying to turn out the lights. He is struck out, flied out, grounded into a double play. That was while the remarkable John Smoltz was on the hill. Ball, 1 strike. Bobby Cox, the manager of Atlanta, when talking about this particular pitcher, said it doesn't matter whether they're left-handed or right-handed. Stanton can get them out. The only way the Braves can win is an extra inning. Then we're in the 7th game. And they still have to get there. 1 ball, 2 strikes. The Twins have left 7, hit into 2 double plays.
The only 7th game of a World Series that has been won in the bottom of the 9th inning, Bill Mazeroski's home run back in 1960. And that was also the only World Series game, or the only World Series to end with a home run.
Chili Davis pops it foul. 1 ball, 2 strikes. We've had a 12-inning game. We've had an 11-inning game. How about Jack Morris? 9 shutout innings against this tough Atlanta club. And he looks like he's ready for more.
Nobody's warming up for the Twins.
Empty Minnesota bullpen. But the batter's box is occupied by Chili Davis. Charlie Leibrandt wants to win this game in the worst way. 2-2 to Davis. The Twins have 6 hits. They've been given 2 walks, and they've had a hit batsman. Two and 2. Out of play off the bat of Davis. To be followed by Harper and Mack. These Braves just hoping to get back to the plate. Out of play again by Chili. 2-2 to the leadoff hitter. Nobody on, nobody out. Bottom of the 9th. Out of play again. Tim, how about that walk again by Bobby Cox?
A lot of guts, didn't it? First and third, 1 out. Kirby Puckett, the batter. Mike Stanton into the game, walking Kirby Puckett intentionally. And Ken Herbeck lining into a double play unassisted to Mark Lemke. He didn't hit it well. Hit it off the fist. And speaking of off the fist, that is what Chili Davis has done. Mike Stanton has thrown some nasty fastballs in on the hands.
Into right center. That ball gets down. Davis stops at first.
Chili almost missed first base, rounding the bag. But he's going to play it cautious anyway. The outfield was deep to prevent the extra base hit. But watch how close he comes to missing first base. Matter of fact, I think he did miss it. And that, you know, it was very close. He may have touched it with the side of his foot. But I think that's why he went back. Watch.
Enough to make him feel uncomfortable, I'm sure. And so he retraced his steps. Now we have a pinch runner. We have a pinch runner, Jarvis Brown.
Here it is right here. Watch Chili Davis right there. Did he touch first base? I'll tell you, it was too close for him to try it and go to second base, and I think that's why he came back.
And the batter is Brian Harper. And Jarvis Brown gets back. Jarvis Brown, number 1, is carrying the winning 1991 World Series run if he can circle the bases. Harper is 1 for 3.
And Harper bunting, he showed bunt a lot of times. That's why pitchers throw to first base, to get a batter to commit. And Harper committed that he is bunting.
Billy Davis with a leadoff single in the 9th. Brown runs for him. Woo, that ball handcuffed Greg Olson.
This ball almost got away from Olson. A high fastball almost took his glove off. Stanton throwing awfully hard.
Ball 1 the count to Harper. So they switched off and gave him a swing at that fastball, 1-1. Gardenhire gets the signs from the bench from Tom Kelly, flashing to the hitter and runner. Nobody out. Bottom of the 9th. No score. 7th game. And bunted well. It's a base hit.
Like Mike Stanton is hurt. Stanton falling toward the third base side. Looks like a cramp. But what Brian Harper did, he found the seam. He found the seam between Stanton and Bream. It looks like a cramp that Stanton has. But watch Brian Harper intentionally push the ball to the right side, and he finds the gap between Stanton and Bream. And Stanton, trying to track the ball down, appears to have hurt himself. Looked like when he was trying to turn around after he picks the ball up. And there it is. He bunts it hard between the charging Bream and Stanton. And it looked like when Stanton retrieved the ball, he may have sprained the knee.
New pitcher coming in is Pena. What a game, what a series. Tied 3 games apiece. Game 7. Runners at first and second, nobody out, and Alejandro Pena into the game in relief of Mike Stanton. And how are the Twins going to play it? Pena worked 2 innings last night with 2 strikeouts.
Yeah, one would think you're in a must-sacrifice situation, but are you? Mike Pagliarulo, the next batter. If Mac bunts successfully, then Pagliarulo is walked, and then you have Al Newman, who is in there as the shortstop. You have 2 left-handed pinch hitters left, Paul Sorrento and Gene Larkin.
Let's see how Shane Mack plays it with 2 on. And a foul bunt, strike 1. Mack is 1 for 3. Isn't this something? Leadoff single by Chili Davis. A bunt single by Brian Harper. Nobody out in the Twins' 9th, and there's the winner at second. Jarvis Brown. Alejandro Pena has some work to do. They switch off, and a ground ball to Lemke. They get 1 and a double play. The runner ends up at third with 2 out. Lemke and Belliard pulled it off.
How, you might ask? How? Tom Kelly going away from the squeeze or the bunt, and look at Lemke back to Belliard to Breen. The takeout slide by Brian Harper unsuccessful, and a remarkable double play turned by the Braves.
What a pivot by Belliard.
Unbelievable.
So Tom Kelly had his strategy backfire, and now they're going to walk Hal Yarullo.
I think Tom Kelly putting the hit instead of the bunt on, thinking that with Breen charging, that's going to leave the right side of the infield vulnerable. It did at first base, but not at second. Lemke read it all the way.
They are going to walk Hal Yarullo. Al Newman will be due up. He is being called back. It'll be first and third, 2 out, bottom of the 9th. No score, 7th game. Tom Kelly's scorecard. He soon will write in the name of Paul Sorrento, who will be batting for Newman. Well, the Braves got a startling double play here to take us within 1 out of extra innings for the 3rd time in this series, but the Braves still have to get there. A walk to Pagliarulo.
2 things to keep in mind. Alejandro Pena made 2 wild pitches in the National League Championship Series. With the runner at third base, Pena throws very hard. Olson out to talk to him, and both wild pitches came with Greg Olson catching. One more look at that brilliant double play turned by Mark Lemke, Rafael Belliard, and Sid Breen. On a bunt play, Lemke's responsibility was to cover first base. But he held his position, and when the ball was hit, he made the play and pivoted. You see him toward first anyway. Harper bearing down on Belliard at shortstop, and just a terrific double play turned by Lemke and Belliard.
They're going to pitch to Paul Sorrento, 25 years old, from Massachusetts. He could be the hero tonight. Pena could be a hero. And they are not holding the runner at first. The big man's at third with 2 out, and Sorrento hammers at 1.
Sid Bream has moved behind the runner at first base. You're playing this game as though nobody were on first. Pagliarulo, if he tries to steal second, of course, has to make sure that he makes it. But if they're going to give it to you, you might as well take it.
First and third, 2 out. Strike 2, and another good swing by Sorrento.
The reason that Bobby Cox has opted to pitch the right-hander to the left-hander here is you'd rather the inexperienced player beat you if he's going to do it. Dan Gladden is on deck.
Sorrento is 0 for 1 in this series. Bobby Cox hoping this game gets into the 10th inning. If it does, why haul out some more adjectives to describe this baseball game. Wow, it's something. First and third, 2 out, bottom of the 9th. No score, and a 0-2 count on the pinch hitter, Sorrento. Going, foul ball. Pagliarulo is running unmolested off first.
Sid Bream way back, and as we said, if they're going to give it to you, go ahead and take it with 2 outs. There's not even going to be a play at second base anyway. Both infielders Actually, all three infielders, the shortstop, second baseman, and first baseman, playing as though there were no runner on first base. The only run that counts the runner at third, of course.
Sorrento's been getting his swings, I'll say that for him. Count still 0-2. Runner going. Ooh, and another nasty swing by Sorrento. That ball up a bit from Pena, but tough to catch up with it. This pinch hitter has been up and down with the Twins a few times. There's the big run. Jarvis Brown, the speedster at third. Algarulo across the way with 2 out here in the bottom of the 9th. Runner going. 10th inning coming up. How much better can it get? The Twins have left 9, and we're still scoreless. The Atlanta bench ecstatic after getting out of that 9th.
And it should not be a scoreless game. I mean, if you go back to the 8th inning with Lonnie Smith on at first base, he went for the decoy. You see Chuck Knobloch, the second baseman, throwing a ball that wasn't there to Greg Gagne. Gagne acting like he's completing the play. I think what happened is Smith lost vision. He went for the decoy, and then he looked up and tried to pick the ball up, and all he saw was white handkerchiefs in left center field. He couldn't pick it up. Therefore, he stopped. He stopped too long. Had he kept running, he scores the only run of the game, and the Braves win the World Series in a game stocked full of strategy and anti-strategy. In the bottom half of that inning, Mike Stanton in after he walked Kirby Puckett with runners at first and third. That's right, first and third, and Herbeck lines one off the handle to Lemke, and Lemke steps on second. What a bizarre 8th inning that was.
Then in the Atlanta 8th, Sid Bream hit into a double play with the bases loaded. Atlanta's left 8 hit into a double play. Minnesota's left 9 hit into 3 double plays. And this is Jeff Blauser to pinch hit, and Scott Leyes plays short for the Twins. He's playing short, and that's not an unusual position for him. Jack Morris still pitching. And a foul ball. Harper can't see it, and he caught it. He didn't know where it was, but he caught it. Blauser batting for Belliard.
He didn't know where it was when it was going up, but he found it coming down. Watch this. Now, he plays here every day. He's saying, I don't see it. There it is. Got it.
This is the first time since 1924 that a World Series 7th game has gone into extra innings. Isn't this something? Lonnie Smith is up. He's had a walk and 2 singles.
This is the 3rd extra inning game in World Series play. In a 7-game series, there have never been 3 extra inning games.
Game 3, game 6, and this one. 1-1 to the Atlanta designated hitter. There is 1 out. Lonnie Smith is up. And Terry Pendleton will follow. 10th inning, no score. What a long night for Jack Morris. 1-2 the count. Frank DeQuire on Sunday morning.
The Vienna Braves choir, huh?
Ted Turner trying to stay with it. 1-2 the count with 1 out. 2-2. Lonnie Smith has 3 World Series home runs. 6 hits total. has struck out 7, walked 2, 1 intentional. He gets his 8th strikeout.
To have maintained the velocity on his fastball through 9 2/3 innings. A lot of superlatives for that guy. And a lot of horses on both sides, but just watch Jack Morris work. He is a war horse, that guy right there.
Beat Toronto twice. Won game 1. Pitched in game 4. No decision in that one. Takes the 7th game into the 10th inning with 2 outs. Pendleton has a double. It should have been good enough to drive home a run in the 8th. This is the first time since 1989 that Jack Morris has gone more than 5 innings. Alejandro Pena likely to have to go out there in a scoreless game in the bottom of the inning. That's up to Pendleton. Shortstop Leyes. Atlanta hasn't scored in 10 innings against Jack Morris. Top of the order coming up. Scoreless game going into the bottom of the 10th inning. And you know, a lot of times you'll attend a sporting event or watch a World Series or some other athletic competition, Tim, and not realize at the time how sensational it is. Later you look back and say, man, I was glad I was there. That was something. Tonight, it's so apparent that this is one of the most remarkable baseball games ever played.
Yeah, you're trying to look for some historical perspective to look back on, but you can't find any. It's a one of a kind, and it has been a remarkable evening, and everybody, I think, is glad they're here.
All right, let's get on to Jim Cotton, see what he thinks after having pitched 25 years in the big leagues.
We're really going to enjoy what this is. We've been a part of here for the last 10 days. We're just soaking it up right now, but as the years go by, we're going to say, wow, this has got to go down as one of the greatest World Series ever.
Our statistician, Steve Hurt, keeps handing us cards and says, this is the first time this, and the first time that, the first time this. We're piling up some records, and here we are, scoreless in the bottom of the 10th with Gladden, the batter against Pena. Broken bat, fly ball's going to drop. He's trying. Save!
Broken bat, trademark shot over the glove of Brian Hunter, retrieved by Gant, and Gladden never slowed down. You have heard of the catch in the 1954 World Series. If Dan Gladden scores the winning run, you might hear about the bat that broke, that put him there.
The Twins put their leadoff man on the 8th. They put the first 2 on in the 9th.
The bat.
And these Twins are in great shape because their batter, Chuck Knobloch, is an opposite field hitter. He's had 1 out of 4. The odds are pretty good of him moving the runner to third or driving him home. Ball 1. Bad break for Pena as he sawed the bat off in the hands of Gladden. The Twins have an excellent runner at second, carrying the winner. He's a rookie, folks. At the plate with a winning run at second. Is he still bunting? One ball, one strike. And a bullpen finds Jim Clancy and Kent Mercker warming up. In this series, the winning run has scored on the final play of the game. Gladden the runner, nobody out. Going to take another miracle for the Braves. Now block bunts, Pendleton goes to first. Lemke took the throw. There's the winner at third base, one out. Now we'll see some more strategy.
Well, you know you're going to get one intentional walk. That's Kirby Puckett. And the bunt, a successful one. Knobloch to Pendleton to Bream for the first out.
Remember, the Twins have never lost a World Series game in this Metrodome.
I say, you know, the alternative Bobby Cox has is to just throw Kirby Puckett high fastballs, but I doubt very seriously that they will do that. Ken Hrbek, they're going to walk him. Now the outfield comes in, the outfield in a position where they can stand flat-footed and nail the runner at third if they catch a ball. A long fly ball, and the Twins are the world champions.
But Pena and the Braves are going to have to pitch to somebody here.
Well, do you pitch to Ken Hrbek? There's Chuck Knobloch, who did his job. His job's out of the way. Bunting Gladden to third base.
Jack Morris has pitched 10 shutout innings. On deck is Hrbek. How will they deal with him? Jim Cott, what's going on where you are?
Well, it wouldn't surprise me to see him walk Hrbek also, because Jarvis Brown is now the designated hitter, and the last left-handed pinch hitter, Gene Larkin, has a bat up the runway. Be interesting to see what Bobby Cox tries.
First and third, one out with a walk to Puckett.
If you pitch to Hrbek, do you try to pitch him inside where he's vulnerable? Remember, Pena struck him out in last night's ball game after hitting with a fastball inside and then going away twice. Hrbek is vulnerable inside, but they're going to put him on too. And it looks like Gene Larkin is going to be the pinch hitter for Jarvis Brown.
This will be the third intentional walk by Pena since he relieved. Here are these Atlanta Braves. They'll be in a spot with a bases loaded, one out, scoreless game, bottom of the 10th. They chased the Dodgers. They caught them and beat them by a game. They chased the Pirates and beat them in the 7th game of the playoff. They went home and beat Minnesota 3 straight games to get out of the hole. Now they're only a fly ball away from being the runner-up. But don't discount Pena. And the batter will be Gene Larkin. More from Jim Cott.
Well, I don't know if Bobby Cox is aware of all the injury problems on the Minnesota roster, but Gene Larkin, can almost see him limping up to home plate. He can swing the bat, but he cannot run, so very vulnerable to a double play in this situation.
Larkin is the pinch hitter with the bases loaded and one out. He is 1 for 3 in the series.
Looks like it's his left knee that is swollen. The Kitty alluding to the left knee. He also has a shin guard on his right ankle. If you hit it far enough, you don't have to run. And I'm sure that's what Gene Larkin is thinking right now.
Braves pulled off a double play in the 6th, in the 8th, and in the 9th. The infield is in. The outfield is in. And they're going to go back to halfway at second and short.
It's funny, you know, they're going to, Templeton now is talking to Brian Hunter, the left fielder. Jeff Blauser, the shortstop, is back. Mark Lemke is in, and there's some confusion in the middle of the infield right now. Now Blauser's coming in.
They could still go to second base. Now Lemke comes in closer.
I think the key point is that Gene Larkin is not a fast runner. I think you can afford to stay back if you're the middle infielders. Both Lemke and Blauser in doubt as to what to do.
The Minnesota bench hoping to get this winning run across here in the 10th. It's carried by Ian Gladden the third. Base hit loaded, one out. Infielders are sort of halfway at second and short. Pena in a jam. The Twins are going to win the World Series. The Twins have won it. It's a base hit. It's a 1-0 10-inning victory.
The outfield in, the high fastball from Alejandro Pena to Gene Larkin.
O'Brien is coming up next, folks. Little kids are never this happy. But these little kids know what they have done. One to nothing in 10. Please don't go away. You'll enjoy what's coming up.
The Minnesota Twins have won the 1991 World Series in a stunning 10-inning game. Those are state troopers lining the diamond down there, but you don't see any of the fans going down on the field. Folks, they are happy just to look on and applaud their heroes, including Jack Morris. And what a stud he has been throughout this entire season for the Twins. From opening day to pitching in the All-Star game to winning the first game of the ALCS, winning the first game of the World Series, and closing out the Atlanta Braves to take home the trophy for the Minnesota Twins. He'll be doing hugs and kisses, folks, all night long, and deservedly so. Pat O'Brien along with Tommy Lasorda. Tommy, I think they printed these up early, but they're absolutely right. Twins capture the World Series. How about conquer the World Series?
I'll tell you something. That was one of the greatest pitching performances I have seen in World Series history. This guy was fantastic. He is a winner. As I said before the game began, you got to ride on the coattails of a winner.
Inside the Minnesota Twins locker room, the celebration, and folks, we've seen a lot of sporting celebrations, but the crowd is still outside. The Twins are down there, and somewhere in there is our colleague Jim Cott. Kitty?
I don't even know if this is fair, but I'm going to have Kurt Ritter present the Chevrolet Most Valuable Player Trophy. I mean, there are probably about 20 of them, but is there a better one than Jack Morris for the job he did tonight? It's my privilege to introduce Kurt Ritter Chevrolet, make the presentation to Jack Morris, Most Valuable Player of the 1991 World Series. Kurt?
Thank you very much, Jimmy. Jack, what a bear-down performance tonight. I want to tell you that was a thrill for everybody around. On behalf of Chevrolet and all of its dealers, I'd like to present you with the Chevrolet MVP Trophy Award and the keys to a new Chevrolet Astro van that will be donated to the charity of your choice in your name. Congratulations.
Thank you, Jimmy. Thank you very much.
Have you got enough strength left to hold that trophy? I mean, we talked all night. The Minnesota Twins signed Jack Morris, and the word that came into play was horse. And you were a horse that I think about 135 pitches, and it didn't appear that you lost anything.
I just didn't want to come out. The guys kept fighting. I got to congratulate the Atlanta Braves. What a great series. I mean, they fought us tooth and nail. What, 5 one-run games. These guys in this room, somebody had to go home a loser, but nobody was a real loser in my mind. It was two of the greatest teams that fought so hard all year long, and I'm just proud to be a part of it.
Yeah, nobody really was a loser. I'd like to know what it felt like. I mean, you come off the mound with an emotional inning, and yet your ball club doesn't score, and you got to dig down and go back out there again. What were those feelings like, 7th, 8th, 9th inning?
Well, there's a lot of guys that influenced me in my career about battling the guys and don't worry about what we do offensively, because sometimes the pitcher has no control over that. But perseverance, I guess. I just didn't want to quit, and somehow we figured out a way to win this thing.
All right, Jack Morris, 1991 World Series Most Valuable Player. Is there a more deserving one? Pat O'Brien.
All right, Kitty, thank you. We'll be back with all the action and celebration. Stay with us, folks. Kirby Puckett getting hugs from his family. Hugs all the way around in Minnesota as Jack Morris will get on his Harley Davidson with that trophy. We'll be back after a commercial and a word from your local station. Stay with us.
Steve.
Mike Pagliarulo was telling me the other day he was anxious to go trick-or-treating with his son, but the treats have come early for him as his Minnesota Twins have scored a big one over the Braves to win the World Series. The crowd is still here waiting for curtain calls from their players, and their players are down where Jim Cott is for the presentation. Kenny?
All right, Pat, my pleasure to introduce the Commissioner of Baseball, Fay Vincent, and he has once a year he gets this rare privilege. I'm not too sure this year there shouldn't have been 2 of them. What a memorable World Series. Commissioner, present the winner's trophy.
Well, I'm delighted, and to these gentlemen from Minnesota, Mr. Kelly, Mr. Pohlad, Mr. Bell, Mr. McPhail, let me present this trophy, which is, of course, symbolic of your having achieved the World Series victory. It was, I think, probably the greatest World Series ever. I was proud to be here, and I think all the fans who were here appreciate the effort you made and the great effort of the Braves. 2 superb teams. Finally, let me say the President wants to congratulate the President of the United States and invite you to the White House for a ceremony where he can congratulate you personally. We're delighted for you. Carl, you have my personal good wishes.
All right, thank you, Mr. Commissioner. Carl Pohlad, the owner of the Twins, and I'd like to get a word from Andy MacPhail. We've shown a lot of pictures of the players, of the manager, of the coaches, but I think the man that was probably the architect of this 1991 Minnesota Twins team that took some chances and signed some players and got some money's worth with this man's money, Andy MacPhail, your feelings right now.
Well, thank you, Jim. I just want to take this opportunity to thank all our scouts, our minor league instructors and managers, our front office staff, particularly Tom. His coaches did a great job, the players, and Carl for taking a giant risk for us. I'm glad it paid off. Thanks for everything.
All right, Carl Pohlad provided the money. Andy MacPhail provided the players. And Tom Kelly was the man that put the team together and ran it on the field. And, Tom, your thoughts about not just this team, this whole series and this night tonight, an unbelievable scene.
It was a storybook ball game. The whole series was like a storybook, going to play it out, Chapter 7. The Braves were just outstanding. I don't know which team played better, if one did or one did not. And by rights, you probably should cut it in half and give it to half to the Braves and half to us. And they were just great. And we're just fortunate to win this ball game. It was a storybook ball series. And I'm proud of all my players, and I'm proud of the Braves. They were just outstanding also.
A very emotional embrace for Jack Morris after this game. And when you got him, you said, we got a horse. He was one tonight, wasn't he?
10 innings on 3 days rest against a Braves team of that caliber is quite a remarkable effort. I was really examining my head, seeing what I was doing, sending him back out there for the 10th inning. But he wanted to pitch, and I said, well, it's just a game. We'll get him, baby.
Well, it was a game, some game. And I'll tell you, there was more than one team in this game. We're going to hear from Bobby Cox, the manager of the Atlanta Braves, right after these words.
Hosted maybe one of the greatest World Series ever, the Metrodome in Minneapolis, Minnesota. And let us add our congratulations up here to the Atlanta Braves for a tremendous season. A lot of tremendous players, and they gave it their all, but just came up short in this one. On that note, let's go down to Tim McCarver, who is with the skipper of the Braves, Bobby Cox.
I am with Atlanta manager Bobby Cox. And, Bobby, there were so many times during that game that you didn't think, I'm sure, that you were going to be giving this interview as part of a losing ball club.
Well, Timmy, we had numerous opportunities to win that ball game. We just didn't get the big hit. We had runners at second, third, no outs, and we couldn't get the ball out of the infield. And Terry hit a ball into the gap, and, of course, Lonnie stopped and went back. He lost the ball, I guess, and would have scored on that probably, but we didn't. But you figure you're going to score a run if you have runners at second, third, no outs, and we just didn't do it. There was two outstanding pitchers going head-and-head tonight, and Jack Morris and John Smoltz, and Morris would get in trouble and get us out, and Johnny Smoltz pitched one well of a game, and our bullpen pitched well also. It's just, I hate to be on the short end of it, but we are.
What a gutsy move in the bottom of the 8th inning also, with you walking Kirby Puckett with runners at first and third and pitching to Herbeck.
Well, Kirby is a special guy in the back of my mind all the time. He's a guy that can beat you, and he deserves a lot of credit for the success of the Minnesota franchise. I know that. He's a guy that we try to avoid if we can.
Have you met with your club?
Well, we really haven't had time. I think everybody's a little bit frustrated and mad right now. We felt we should have won a game before this and closed it out, and felt like we should have won the ball game tonight, but we didn't. We'll be okay. We'll be ready next spring.
Well, my congratulations on a terrific year, Bobby.
Well, thank you, Tim, and congratulations to CBS. I know you guys did a great job.
Thank you very much. Bobby Cox, the manager of the Atlanta Braves.
And a very classy guy. Think about where they were after the All-Star break and all the respect they've gained since then. Let's go back down to Jim Cott, Kitty.
All right, Pat, it seems like about half the team here are the winning Minnesota Twins. A lot of memories of this World Series, up and down about 18 times tonight. Rick Aguilera, your thoughts on the series and on being a part of this ball club as a premier closer?
Well, first of all, I got to thank God. Just a blessing to be here. There's great teammates and organization. It's just been a great blessing. I'll tell you, it was just very emotional, very draining physically, mentally. But I mean, you can't say enough about the effort Jack gave us tonight and the way we battled the whole series. Just all-around terrific series.
All right, Rick Aguilera, how about a key play in tonight's game, which was when Chuck Knobloch on the ball that Pendleton hit, along with Greg Gagne, a little big league decoy play, and that was key in the game. I mean, how do you react that quickly to making that play?
Well, we do it during the season, and we just the ball was hitting the gap, and we just try to carry out a double play, and we got Lonnie's attention. He got all confused out there, and ended up being a big play of the game.
All right, quickly, the hero of last night's game, holding the World Series trophy, Kirby Puckett, 2 times in 5 years. Doesn't get any better than this.
Doesn't get any better than this, man. This is the best there is, and we're the best. This is it.
How about Ken Herbeck? A lot of people, he didn't have a good series with the bat, but a lot of people got a chance to see the way this guy can play first base. Now, you said yesterday you were having fun, but deep down in, they're pretty nerve-wracking.
I looked over at Lemke at second base in that last inning right before Gino hit the ball, and I grabbed onto my stomach, and he grabbed onto his head. It was getting to us out there, but they got nothing to hang their heads about. It was a great series, and I'm just happy I'm on the winning end.
It'll go down in history, I think, as one of the most memorable. Another big part of it, Dan Gladden in the middle of everything, as usual, and coming off a late-season slump. What a high for you right now.
Yeah, it is. I think everybody's pretty excited right now. I don't think Atlanta, those guys played real well. They don't have anything to hang their heads about. Anybody really could have won this series, and it just happened. They had opportunities to score, so did we, but we had the last at bat in the 10th, and Gino came through.
Sure did. An emotionally drained Minnesota clubhouse. Let's go back. Pat O'Brien will be coming back in just a moment, but first a couple of messages.
Welcome back to the Metrodome in Minneapolis. The Twins have won the World Series. Jack Morris is the MVP. 1-0 was your score. 10 innings. The two men who were right above home plate calling the game for you, Jack Buck and Tim McCarver. Fellas, what a series.
What a series. What a clincher.
Well, I'll tell you, going into it, it may sound trite, but both teams, Cinderella teams, the difference, I think, between this story and the other story, the real one about Cinderella, in that story, there's only one prince. I think in this series, there were a bunch of princes, weren't there?
Yeah, they were terrific. The Braves were great all year, and, well, you've heard it all, that it's a shame that anybody had to lose. The thought that I have in my mind, Tim, after watching all of this action, is that the season is over. And everybody in the game, a fan, a coach, a player, a manager, front office, scout, surrender. They say, that's enough, especially after a game like this. But then Christmas comes, New Year's, contracts are signed, trades are made, free agents are signed, and then baseball, like the rose beneath the April snow, will force its way to the front again, and we'll have the fever once more. But we can lay this baseball season to rest. It's in the book.
It's to rest, but it'll be very memorable for you and me and for everybody.
It's been fun. Don't go away. We've got some beautiful pictures, baseball pictures for you to enjoy. Let's go back to Pat O'Brien.
All right, guys, as we say around here, we can sleep in November, right? We have just concluded our second year of covering Major League Baseball here on CBS, and believe me, we have put our hearts and our souls into this labor of love. This year's World Series has gone the distance, but in a way it was a lot easier to cover because the games have been so dramatic. Two teams charging from worst to first in two cities, backing them up with everything from tomahawk chops to homer hankies. But now, for so many of us, this is a sad time of the year, really, so I'll just whisper the words. Baseball season is over. But the beauty of baseball is that it never really goes away. And what other sport can boast of a hot stove league? But you know what really warms the heart during the chill of the offseason? It's the thought that spring training is right around the corner. On that note, for all of us here at CBS Sports, I'm Pat O'Brien. So long from Minneapolis.
Baseball breaks your heart. It is designed to break your heart. The game begins in the spring when everything else begins again, and it blossoms in the summer, filling the afternoons and evenings. And then, as soon as the chill rains come, it stops and leaves you to face the fall alone.
Twisted ball into right, and that drops. He is safe, and it gets away, and we are tied. Lemke hits it into left field. Here comes Justice. Save! And Atlanta wins it. They're sending him home. And out! Here's Lemke. He is save, save, deep left center, and we'll see you tomorrow night.